the honorable brother, the revolutionary yourself, Darius Lockhart, and I'm here to tell you to watch Power Bombshells every Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern on the Fight Game Media YouTube channel. That's right, every Sunday at 1 p.m., and that's on time, every time, because when we stand together, what time is it? That's right, it's nation time.
Welcome to Power Bombshells 176. I'm Mel. That's Sam. We're just two broads talking about the wrestling we like. How's it going, Sam?
It's going. As most of you can tell by the title of this week's episode, it is going to be very WWE centric. But as I spoke with Mel, nothing that happened in wrestling this week is more important than this story. Unfortunately, it trumps everything. No pun intended, but it also works that way as well. But we are going to do our format a little bit differently this week. We are going to ask that because BJ is so graciously giving us his time, and he has. I talked to Mel Monday. I almost messaged him like immediately, and I was well, let me talk to Mel first because we had something else planned. So I was like, I want to make sure. I'm sure Mel would have been fine with it, but as a co-host, I wanted to be respectful and be like, can we do this? And then of course, BJ has been making the rounds all week long. He's been very gracious to give us his time today, and we'll bring him in just a moment. But so we're going to do our format a bit differently because BJ is only with us a limited amount of time. We want to stick to the topics of Brock Lesnar's surprise return, the ESPN deal with WWE as well, because it ties into Brock's return. So if you have any comments or questions related to any other promotion, please wait until BJ has, we've concluded our segment with BJ. We want to make sure that this time is given to him specifically. I think that our chat, our regulars are pretty well, like, they know we're pro Janelle, that we are pro survivors here. I'm sure, given the title of this, we're probably going to come across some trolls and some bots because a certain company does employ them. They employ bots. We've seen it happen. So they will just be blocked immediately. We're not going to put up with anything that's going to detract from this because that is most important. Mel, if you will pop up if you have the 988 information. If at any point this becomes too triggering to listen to, please leave. We don't want to do anything that's going to mess with your mental health because this is a graphic conversation. Some of the tweets that were posted, BJ has some of them and I have some of them that had information directly from Janelle Grant's lawsuit, and they are unfortunately graphic because these are the things that she says that she dealt with. And we're not going to sugarcoat that here because I think that's part of the problem in this conversation about Brock Lesnar is people are not taking into account how serious this is. And we're not going to sugarcoat that here. We've never done it before. We're not going to start now. And so if at any point this conversation becomes too much for you to listen to, please take care of yourself. That is most important. We do have some numbers down here across the bottom of the screen that can help you if you need those services, or if you know someone who needs those services, please provide that information to them. But I think that pretty much covers all the housekeeping with this. And if you are ready, we can go ahead and bring BJ in.
I am ready. Do you want me to click the button or you want to?
You can click the button.
I will click the button. Welcome to the show, BJ Bethel.
Hey guys, how you doing?
To have you back.
Hey, thank you. I hate that it seems you often have to come under these terrible circumstances.
Can we do a fun show someday? Please.
Yeah, we promise.
We're gonna you have an open invitation to come anytime. So if you want to just talk about whatever,
I'm honored.
Please.
Well, you are an honorary broad, and I did want to make that point. So
okay.
Yes,
honorary broads do kind of have an open invitation anytime, and we should definitely do this when it's not.
You guys have also, when I've asked to come on to get something out, you've helped me with that, and I really appreciate that. So anytime I can help you guys, it's a great podcast, and you're two of the most knowledgeable people in wrestling I know. I think Sam gets tired of me asking questions.
No, not
about
at all.
Indie people, really, because I would.
No, I don't mind. Questions. Listen, we both ask each other questions all the time. BJ has been a huge help to me. We've become, unfortunately, fortunately, we have become friends, but unfortunately under not great circumstances, under great topics. But it brought us together for better or worse for some of the people online. And BJ, unfortunately,
Yeah.
being someone who covers this so well, BJ has been like as he should, is the go-to person, and has been on a lot of podcasts, and including his own podcast that was a really great episode. It is, I don't know if we have the link for it, but you can subscribe. It is called the BJ Bethel Project, and it's on Multimedia Mouth's YouTube channel. And I believe you've had 4 episodes so far. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's Ruben J. He's the producer. He's put all this together. He also gave it the horrible name, the BJ Bethel Project, because he didn't know what to call it, and I didn't know either. So
Why not?
I got another podcast I do on my Substack. I kind of just do audio interviews that are quickies with experts, and you can tell we're real imaginative. I call that one BJ Interviews Anyone. So,
I mean, sometimes simple is better.
If there's somebody with some marketing skill in the comments that's got some much better name, I'll be indebted
Then it will
to
be
you forever.
Formerly known as the BJ Bethel Project.
Formerly known. Yeah, there we go. Formerly known as the BJ Bethel. I was just like, the BJ Bethel Project sounds like the worst makeover show in the history of the world. Like, okay, it's like, how are we going to make over this disaster? You know, I don't know. But yeah, you guys have been great, and you guys have covered this very, very well. You guys get a lot of the, Mel's got certainly a very expansive knowledge of how government and the courts work, and you guys do a better job of covering this than most of the podcasts out there, especially the ones that are on these bigger platforms. I don't want to say bigger podcasts because, the only thing bigger seems to be their mouths, but, you go on to Sirius, you listen to them discuss some of this, and it's embarrassing. So I'm just glad you guys are doing such a good job with this. I enjoy listening to you guys when you talk about it. I mean, me and Sam's talked a lot about this case, and there's some things that when this is all over with, it'll probably come out and I'll discuss that. But you two are wonderful people, and anytime I can help you out, I appreciate it.
Well, we truly appreciate you coming on here and taking the time, especially because I know earlier this week BJ said he did a show and he lost his voice, and he's been talking so much.
Yeah,
I had to do it. I had to go do something where I talked for like an hour, and then I did a 2-hour podcast, and then I had to go to work and was on a conference call for an hour, and then it was like I'm not used to talking that much. I mean, I'm a big my fingers do most the mouth off my voice, and so it was a struggle, but I got through it. But you guys are the best. I appreciate you having me back on.
Thank you. We do have, before we get to the serious topics, we do have 2 podcast name suggestions for you. Brad says you should have a co-host that's big and hairy, and the BJ and the Bear podcast.
That might be trademarked. If I had a truck, I could do a trucker podcast.
All you need is a truck and a monkey.
Speaking of truckers, apparently Jake Hager has retired from wrestling and owns a trucking company now. That came out
good on him.
that came out this week. So
you
might better hurry up and trademark it before he does. And then John says, "How about the BJ Wrestle Vessel?" Or BJ Bethel Wrestle Vessel. There we go.
BJ Bethel Wrestle Vessel. John, I think I recognize you from I think he was on the Jim Valley podcast. But the Wrestle sounds. I'll consider it.
We'll put that
Ruben's got Ruben J, who if you check out Multimedia Mouth, he's done a lot of red carpet interviews. He knows a lot. He lives out in LA, and he's helping me. He formerly did Bruce Mitchell's podcast for a while after he left the torch. So he's kind of the expert, but I will forward all these names to him and make him. I will make him
put it in a hat, and then they'll draw a name.
Yeah, maybe I should just do a Twitter poll, and
there you go. We've done Twitter polls.
I don't know. With as many trolls as you two catch, I would be a little afraid of the. You would have to make sure that you had specific choices, otherwise, because you can suggest.
Yeah,
and we don't need the. Creatures that hang around in both of your menchies coming up with names.
Yeah, I apologize for any creatures that I drag into your comments from appearing. Just ahead of time.
We didn't seem to have too many under the power bomb. People were asking questions this week.
Good.
So
that's good.
Sam Like, I mean, maybe when we
I
post
got them
Sam
personally in my own mentions.
Yeah, I was gonna say Sam catches plenty on her own, and then
you get some. I've seen your replies. They're not so pretty either. By the way, congratulations on the first place Tigers in the AL Central Division. By the way,
thank you. Yes,
I see the
it's
Detroit
very
hat.
excited. Despite the slump, still number one.
Yeah, somehow they've been losing like Detroit. Yeah, I wish I'm a Red Sox fan. Even though they win 10 in a row, they were still in third place. You guys,
the Braves
slump, and you're still in
the
first
Braves
place
are
by
like
5 games.
Oh, we won. They won the doubleheader yesterday. That had the very first female umpire ever in Major League Baseball. She'll be out there today too. But they are still like 19 games out of first. So the season's been miserable. The injuries have been awful.
Mets and the Phillies are tough.
Yeah, and then we've had just injury after injury after injury, and it's just and then crappy playing on top of it.
Well, I wish I said I felt bad, but it seemed like every time Ohio State or not Ohio State, but every time the Red Sox played Atlanta, they just get crushed. So it was fine. It was finally nice to actually beat them a couple times this year.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you very much. Unless it went extra innings, the Red Sox lose all their extra inning games. So it was nice to go down there. But I saw that. I'm seriously, I was like at work and I got an alert. I had to like check 3 times. I was like, wait, we beat the Braves? It's never happened. I don't know what it is with the Braves and the Sox. But,
yeah, it's
everybody's got their bug. It's like, that's so funny. Like, you're where you are, and I'm from New England originally. And because my dad didn't watch baseball, I didn't have a team. So, and this town is like an awesome sports town, and it's been really easy to adopt everything here. I mean, really, honestly.
I always got confused when I was younger. Like, I thought the AFC and the NFC were 2 separate leagues. So, because it was like the Bengals always play at 1:00, so I watched them, and the Cowboys were always the national game, so I watched them like the Cowboys. So that was just. Then I found out later, like my dad said, we're going to go watch Cowboys play the Bengals in Cincinnati. I'm like, they can play each other, Even though I was really into it, I was a huge football fan, but I was like really young, 7, 8 years old. And by the time I figured out, and that's kind of happened with baseball. And then I found out later that the Red Sox and Reds were in probably the most famous World Series ever played.
Right.
But so it's like I have dual allegiances, I guess. But I don't know. I picked a bad time to be a Sox fan. It was the 90s. So the years past it have been great. Yeah, the years past it have been much better.
Yeah. What's funny, by the time, like, I watched a little bit because my grandfather was a huge Braves fan. And so I watched a little bit when I was younger. And so my first favorite player was Del Murphy. But then when I love that guy. I've met him a couple times. He's phenomenal. But I didn't really get into baseball until 96. So I had just missed them win the World Series. And when they won in 2021, that was my first time getting to experience the World Series Braves. And then 96 is when they lost to the Yankees, or maybe it was 98. But like 96. So that's where my Yankees hatred came from, was because I started watching after that, and we played them a lot. It was,
I hate the Yankees.
I do too.
The Yankees.
Everybody we knew. I watched growing up. Now every game's on TV, but back when I was growing up, they only showed maybe one Reds game on a series, and I never saw the Red Sox unless they just happened to be on ESPN or something, and or on national TV.
Interleague play too.
But I could see every Cubs game, and I could see every Braves game.
Right.
So Bill Murphy, I could watch every game. I got his rookie card, and I talked with him on Twitter a little bit, which was really cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I
love that we can do that.
He should be in the Hall of Fame.
That's what I was just about to say. He should be in the Hall of Fame, and that's one hill. I think a lot of people. That's a hill that a lot of people will die on.
He was the best player in the National League for like 5 years. I'm like, how do you be the best? How are you the best player in the National League for 5 years and not in the Hall of Fame? I just don't get it. If he was a Yankee, he would have went in first. He would have went in.
He played for a crappy. He played for a crappy team, and that they hold that against him.
Yeah, I got to meet. Yeah, the Braves are a good organization. I've met a lot of people from there when I was covering minor league baseball, and one of the guys goes, "You want to know our secret to success in the 90s was?" I'm like, well, what? I want to hear it. You guys just had great pitching. You had I can't remember the pitching coach.
The big three.
You had Bobby Cox. He goes, no, we sucked for 15 years, And we had 15 years of first-round picks that were in the top 5. That's why we were so good. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay.
I mean, he's not wrong.
Yeah, he's like, you think we get Steve Avery by accident? No, it's because we sucked.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, as of right now, like I think we're on track to draft second place.
Oh my God.
Next year we're on track. I think only the Rockies are like ahead of us as of right now. Like it may change, and I don't know if some of that is also trade. Like obviously sometimes you trade away picks too. So I don't know if that's why. But like I saw something the other day, and I think we're like second. We're projected to draft like second or third next year.
I'm gonna apologize for totally taking your show off the road and then
this is very common. It's all about we want to be respectful of your time. This is what we do on a right. I mean,
yes, you know, it's on brand for
very common to have baseball minute. Even I mean, especially with Sam, it's right in her bio.
You like are two of the few pro wrestling fans, let alone pro wrestling like journalists or podcasters that actually like real sports. Most of it's like, I like
real sports. I just don't follow baseball closely. I'm like an NFL.
That's one reason I like you guys. You guys are like both into sports, and it's like I can't understand the wrestling fan kind of deal where it's like, oh, I'll watch some UFC, but I don't watch any NFL. Like almost like it's like too good for them. I'm like, do you need? It's like I hate to say this, but I mean, I'd rather watch the NFL than wrestling. I mean, I'm not. It's college football. I'd rather watch that than anything. But it's just I don't know. I mean, yeah, I love some wrestling, but it's just like, yeah, man. To me, it's like the wrestling is just like it's a sport. So it's like to me to not like sports is just kind of weird. But,
yeah.
I mean, I played soccer from the time I was 5. I like first year I was 4-year varsity. Like I played a little in college. I got to a fairly high. I played club. So I played for most of my life, and then I even ran a company out in Seattle. I ran a company that taught kids 2 to 12 soccer skills. So, and we had like 20. We ended up
because my son's he's a pretty good soccer player.
That was it was really growing during the 90s, and I was like a couple of years behind, like Mia Hamm, and a few years behind Michelle Akers and people like that. So when those gals were in college, we were watching their film. Like we were getting videos of them, still VHS, and we were like watching that stuff, on our buses or things like that. And
that is so cool.
So like when Anson Dorrance became the head coach of the women's national team, it was kind of that was like the super bummer. It's a little bittersweet. I'm going to kill the mood here a little, but the year that the women won their first World Cup, my dad and I for years had talked about it, and the women were way ahead of the men and always have been. And
they're still
it's because the men cannot. American men sports is too for. I mean, I love American men's sports. Don't get me wrong, but it's too for soccer. It can't be. It we just can't play. We've not been able to have a person who can coach the game to American athletes properly for them to take it down a notch, because that's not how soccer is played.
Yeah, even my son when he did one season of select, and he's smaller, but he had so much more foot skill.
Me too.
And he just would practice on his own. He would watch games on his own. He knows what's going on in the field. He's very intelligent, and he's also hyper competitive. But when you live in Ohio, this is a football state, so their reaction to any time you get beat on anything, whether it's on a you lose track of the ball or someone gets around it, is to shove you into the ground. And so refs don't call it. It's like, I mean, I'd say high school soccer around here is more physical than it is watching, European, top notch League A or Premier. It's like no wonder why we don't do well over there. It's because over there you can't, I mean, I'm sure if they allowed you to tackle, we'd do a lot better. But I deal with that all the time.
Yeah, but they have to, you actually have to play the game, which means keeping the ball on the ground most of the time and using your brain skills and
a lot of bigger kids, it's especially in smaller towns, they believe, they've been taught that, somehow they're above just athletically the smaller kids. You can see it with some coaches on like even in my daughter's softball team. It's like the way the lineups were designed was almost like this, which is fine if you got the skill. But
yeah.
I mean, if you can't,
As someone
you
who
don't have to deal
was
with
a youth coach and ran a company full of youth coaches and had to deal with city governments and because that's what we did. We contracted with Parks and Rec departments, and we ran our programs because, you know, a long time ago, Parks and Rec unfortunately stopped doing their own programs in-house and started farming it out to places like I was doing. And I'm one of the early, it was kind of like I couldn't see the forest through the trees, but, you know, you didn't know. But it really bums me out because a lot of young athletes are being priced out of playing at all. And because of these, and it really sucks. And that's one of my big stump issues that because I never, ever would have even touched that stuff if I knew it was going to price people out. Because our whole goal was always getting it into communities, no matter what the community was. And we worked some really fun deals in some of the like areas like Burien and Tukwila and places where they needed it, but they didn't necessarily have the means, but we were still able to run our programs there, and we had great families, and that's the places that need it the most. And they're getting priced out of just the best thing about soccer. It's out of all of them, maybe basketball is like the next simplest, but you need a pair of closed-toed shoes, a pair of shin guards, and a ball.
That's it.
And my sister,
me and you could talk for hours about this because this is something.
I'll put a pin on this by saying this.
We need to get back on track because we made a whole big thing about how we weren't going to talk about anything else, and we've spent 20 minutes.
20
talking
minutes.
About
that's my fault.
Well, and I would say, let me just say this real quick.
I want to bring
really fast. Is that my sister told my niece when she played, you will be able to use this, and you can go anywhere in the world, and you'll be able to have a common language with the rest of the world. So that is something that I really like about that whole atmosphere of playing. So let's get into this thing that we were avoiding by talking about other things.
Well, I know, but since we made
I don't know why we had avoided. It's such a pleasant topic.
Yeah. I know talk about it, but we do, unfortunately.
Let me put the disclaimer back up here because in case people are.
Yeah, so if you're just tuning in, we are going to change our format from normal. We are going to spend most of the show talking about Brock Lesnar's return to WWE along with the WWE and ESPN deal because they do go hand in hand. If you have any comments or questions about any other promotions, please save that till after our segment with BJ is over because as we said before, nothing else in wrestling that happened this week is more important than what WWE did on Sunday night. And we want to make sure that especially because BJ is gracious with his time. So we want to spend some time with that, and anything else we'll just get to later on. But so while we're on it, Sunday I was watching SummerSlam because I was covering it. I was helping out with live coverage. As I mentioned last week, I didn't watch Saturday because I didn't need to help with live coverage, so I didn't watch it because that's pretty much how my WWE viewing goes. I only watch it on the days that I have to, which unfortunately are Mondays and Fridays. And so I had had eaten dinner late, and I was just finishing up my dinner during the main event. The main event was. Some people loved it. It's fine. It was whatever. It was John Cena versus Cody. Some of us just wanted Cody Rhodes to turn heel. That's all we wanted. And WWE had other plans. So they get Cody wins the title, which in case you have, that probably got lost in the shuffle this week. Cody did win the title back from John Cena as was pretty much everybody predicted. It was obvious that was what was going to happen. John and Cody shake hands. Cody leaves. John's standing out there because it's his final SummerSlam. We think, he's just getting his moment, his final SummerSlam ever. And then one of the worst sounds I've ever heard in my life is Brock Lesnar's awful. I've always hated his theme music, but I have never hated it more in my life than when I heard it Sunday because it kept replaying in my head for the rest of the night. Brock Lesnar's music comes. He comes out, and I just literally in shock that I was seeing what I was seeing. My sister was in the other room. She comes out. She can't believe it either. We're like, what the hell is happening? What are they doing here? I can't believe this. Brock comes out. And I was just livid. And he comes out. He delivers an F5 to John Cena. And the show goes off the air. And we're all just like, I'm in Slack with the people I write with. We're all just like, what is happening? How can they do this? Who asked for this? Nobody wants this. And and then I texted, my friends who were not watching, I texted them and I was like, they brought Brock back, and people instant reaction to WTF, every reaction I get. And so of course we're like going on social media and retweeting some things. And so I automatically, as most of you follow our coverage on Wrestling Inc., we do for every big show, we do a loved, hated, and 3 things we loved and 3 things we hated. We each pick a topic, and clearly I claimed it almost immediately. I was like, can I hate that? Because I have a lot to say. Like, I nearly wanted to call an emergency episode with Mel, like right then and there, because I was so irritated and just livid. And we had somebody, Curry Head, I believe it was, came to Blue Sky. He was like, I came to Blue Sky to see what you guys said because I knew what the reaction was going to be. And a few people this week were like, I wish you had done an emergency episode. And I was like, we considered it, but Mel made a good point. Now we've had a whole week and we've heard comments, because we're going to talk about what Paul Heyman said. We're going to talk about what Cody Rhodes said. We're going to talk about what Paul Levesque said. So now we have this whole kind of scope to go with it. And so within a few minutes of him coming up, I reached out to Donald Grant's team for a statement. I was like, I know it's late and I know it's Sunday. Do you have any type of statement? I know that it's a long shot. And on Sunday night, they of course didn't, because they couldn't reach their lawyers at this point. We got one on Monday, which I will read to you shortly. But that was my first thought was Janelle and her lawsuit, and how could they do this to her? I mean, was it a surprise that they did it to her? No, but also like it's the audacity they had to put him back on TV. Then we find out, he was never suspended. He's been paid this entire time. He's one of the highest paid talent on that roster. He was paid the entire time while they're making budget cuts every quarter, cutting women,
cutting
like
talent
left and right, cutting talent, especially women, left and right, cutting a lot of their talent in the LGBTQ community because of budget cuts, because they couldn't afford it. Well, no, they can't afford anybody when they're paying Brock Lesnar to sit at home. And it was a lot. So BJ, what was your reaction when you found out?
I mean, I was surprised, but kind of surprised, but not. When they never let him on a contract, and then they never actually said, we're going to stay hands off from him. I mean, it's like TKO has made statements about Vince where they're like, he's gone, he's out of here, he's done, he's not coming back. Mm-hmm. They've never made any such statements about Brock. Neither's Paul Levesque, and neither's Nick Khan. So it was always, you could kind of tell that they had it in the cards where they were hoping this would play out, and they'd be able to bring him back. And I just love it. Your justification for this is it got a big, from the company and the people that spoke out, it got a huge crowd reaction. I'm just like,
because people were in shock.
Hitler got huge crowd reactions too. I'm just saying,
right.
I'm not trying, some pretty disgusting people. I'm not, there's a lot of bozos out there that get huge crowd reactions. I'm sure if Diddy went and did a concert right now, a bunch of people would come out and cheer him on.
Yeah, people still go see people like Chris Brown in concert after.
They still go see Chris Brown. I mean, it's
to me that makes it more and I knew, of course, WWE fans are going to pop for this guy. That's it.
Yeah, I told Nikki, I was like, I would have walked out and I would have asked for a refund.
Yeah. As the victim of what has gone on with this company, including this person and other victims that are out there right now dealing with this, and because of this being a very big topic, sex trafficking and all of that, the whole thing, to actually sit there yet again as for my 4th decade and watch another predator get a big pop and have a company justify that, it was like, it's hard to not feel very defeated as a lady these days when that's the reaction. And sadly, the first reaction that my friends were having And one article they shared with me is they're paving the way for Vince.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of
I hate how many people have been saying that because
because he's probably going to be there for John Cena's last match. He will. I would not be surprised to see him there for John Cena's last match. I will say, go ahead.
I got 4 or 5 texts immediately somewhere from just friends who watched it. I mean, they are aware of the lawsuit. They're aware of what's happening with Vince, and they're aware of Brock's name in the suit. And these people were all like, yeah, they're going to have Vince back by the end of the year. Like that's kind of their attitude. But I don't know. I just think that they kind of divorced themselves of him. And this is the thing that shocked me about Brock coming back, and this is something some other people have said as well that was really smart, was that Brian Alvarez said this, and it was like, what was the value of bringing him back? Did you need to bump in business? No.
We found out why on Wednesday.
What was that?
Or Thursday, whatever day the announcement was made for WWE and ESPN. That's why.
That's right.
And I thought
they wanted the big. Okay, we're going to make our big splash by bringing back the guy named more than any other individual in Vince McMahon's sex assault.
44.
How many times was that, BJ?
44.
When I did the fines, I mean, if you do a search fine, he was cited, named, his name's listed in the complaint 44 times in one way or the other.
I just wanted to make that clear. That was BJ, because I kept seeing that cited. That came from BJ.
And real quick, can we clarify that just because a transaction doesn't get done doesn't make a person not guilty of a crime?
Well, first of all, we are gonna we're gonna hit some. There's a lot of misinformation around this that BJ and we're gonna talk about, because
we'll follow Sam's format.
But that was why and it was funny because I had that question written down was, did you think that Brock Lesnar came back on Sunday because of the ESPN announcement that I listened to your podcast? And you answered the question. I was like, BJ answered it for me.
I think that was one part of it. I think that was the big part of it, is that they wanted to make the big splash, and this sets up the Lesnar versus Cena feud that you're going to get, which, maybe, and right before they announced that, oh, by the way, you're going to have to pay $30 a month to ESPN to watch these pay-per-views and try to sell that to their fans as something that it's worth paying for. I mean, one thing Brock has not been convicted of any crime. He's not a defendant.
But the reason he's not been convicted is because this is a civil suit.
Well, this is a civil suit, true. But the thing is, it's
ongoing.
And the thing is, too, is that it is not up to Grant's lawyers. I actually got a comment that said this, and with Ruben, I made the stupidest comments of the weekend regarding Brock, and one of them was a certain prominent WWE fan site person who posted stuff about the lawsuit that wasn't true, and Grant's attorneys.
Yes. We were going to talk about
the other one was a comment I got. They said, well, if Brock did something, Grant's attorneys would have charged him. Grant's attorneys aren't law enforcement. They're not prosecutors.
Which again, I do think a lot of this driving this are WWE bots. I mean, of course, not that I'm not going to take away. WWE fans there are plenty of WWE fans who believe Brock did nothing wrong. Vince is great. Janelle is a whore.
I want to make a distinction.
They believe all of these things.
I need to make a distinction.
Of these that are bots that are driving this conversation.
Yeah, I need to make a distinction here, though, because I talk to people outside of WWE that are outside of Twitter and social media. They're WWE fans all the way, and some of them were like, "Yeah, I got charged for Brock's thing," but they're not like. But they understand that their thing is like, you know what? They brought him back. I gotta admit, I got hyped for it, whether that's right or wrong or what. But they don't act anything like the people you see online.
No.
They like watching WWE. Almost all of them know some AEW guys. Some of them have some favorites in AEW, even if they don't like AEW the most. A lot of them like, they'll even watch some Lucha or New Japan. Most of them, it's just because it's what's available to do and what they watch the most. There's nothing wrong with it. But none of them act like the people that do on Twitter. And the people on Twitter are just, you could tell it's being driven by something else. I think that's
right.
Tony Khan mentioned this, and they treated him like a conspiracy theorist, which is insane because there's university research on it. There's There's proof of it. There's
Proof
university.
that WWE has hired
papers.
Bob.
You are not using cyber warfare against your corporate enemies, as it were. You are losing because everybody else is doing it.
Yeah, I mean, this has been something that's been going on since social media got invented. And it's not like this is a new thing. I mean, one of my first big story that blew up was covering this kind of thing, and it didn't have anything to do with wrestling. But ironically, one of those people that got in trouble for that, he just won his appeal, unfortunately. Or well, I don't know what I'll read the appeal, but he was coming in the same night Brock came back. He was coming at me about some stuff, and I'm just like, wow. A lot of crazy night on a Sunday night when you're on vacation. But anyway,
right.
Yeah,
that's right.
The thing is that this is why. Okay, so this is why this is kind of a controversy. When in the first complaint filed by Janelle Grant, it mentioned text with Brock, Vince, other people involved, Janelle, and it mentioned some of this involvement. It didn't specify what all happened. By the time the admitted complaint had come out, this is what we have now, which is that Vince told Brock, as part of the deal, if you resign your contract, you get to have Janelle. And he made the comments about, no, I'm a married man. This is how Brock put it. I'm a married man. I'd ruin her. You wouldn't even. It was really body locker room talk kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. But then he got Janelle's phone number. And this is where they did meet one time where they were supposed to be set up. Well, he got drunk. It didn't come off. There was another time they were supposed to meet. It was supposed to be. This was Vince. The first time was Vince, Brock, Janelle. They got together for dinner. They were supposed to do something, but then Brock got really intoxicated, and so Vince decided to play Brock with Janelle, and I guess really roughed her up. Yeah. The second time they were supposed to meet, it was supposed to be Brock and Janelle. It's listed in the complaint. I think it may have been Uncasville. I can't remember. But that ended up not working because of a storm coming in through and because of COVID. And Janelle was looking for any excuse she could not to have to get involved with it. The thing that really kind of pushes the edge on this is that he did get her number and he was requesting her to do videos for him that were of a fetish nature. This is why we have the adults only thing today. It's me saying that. So here's what happens. You're talking about this case, and what they're accusing of Vince from a civil standpoint is of sex trafficking. He did a crime upon Janelle. Where this gets complicated for Brock is that he was involved in this.
He would have been the I need people to understand this.
They could say that maybe he was unaware. He just thought it was Vince's girlfriend. No. But the thing is ignorance of the law doesn't exactly mean that you don't have to follow it. It's like, oh, I didn't know what the speed limit was going through town. You can't give me a ticket. No, that's not how that works. No, it works. But the thing is, that's for a prosecutor to decide. That's for law enforcement to decide. Right. And there's going to be more coming out on this because there's, if they're supposed to have a discovery hearing at sometime shortly or the hearing shortly to see if they'll have discovery ahead of the arbitration hearing. Because
if they have discovery, that means that they can find information.
Yes. And then after that, and if they win the arbitration hearing, if Grant decides not to settle at any point, they go forward, there's going to be more discovery. Maybe it clears Brock. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe it makes him look better in this. Maybe it makes him look worse. Maybe there's nothing else to it. I don't know. But the thing is, it's up to state authorities. It's up to state and local authorities and federal authorities to possibly lay charges down. I mean, I had somebody who was commenting on how Brock wasn't charged with crime. Brock wasn't charged with a crime, and they said, like, look, we don't know that's going to happen yet. In fairness to him, he has not been charged with a crime. But if you read, there's 3 federal statutes that are related to sex trafficking. If you read through them, and I had lawyers sending me this stuff online who were kind of alarmed by this, saying that he really was kind of riding the line on this. Whether he was ignorant or not of what the circumstances with Vince and Janelle were, I don't know. But it's like when you look at how so many people in WWE seem to know what was happening with her. If you read the complaint. Right. And right now, no one's, I keep waiting for somebody to specifically deny instances in the complaint. Nobody's been doing that.
They just
you know,
say
they're
the whole
making
thing is
broad.
fabricated.
Yeah, they'll
Right.
say it's They'll say the whole thing's fabricated, or they'll
That
try
she
to
and that
say,
she was consensual.
and yeah, she's a jealous and
Because
bitter
they don't
ex-girlfriend.
know, because they don't understand how abuse works, and so they
Yeah.
want to paint her. That's where my replies were. You know, she's a whore, she's a slut, she liked it, she wanted it. I had to block a lot of those comments this weekend, saying that she was just looking for money and she's looking for fame. When if you read that lawsuit, and the fact that all three of us have read that is far from what was happening here.
Yeah,
And
You
read-
don't go
and I need
around
people
just
to
talking
understand
about stuff like that in your life to get fame. There are way easy, especially today in 2025 in August. There are a whole lot better ways to go out and make a name for yourself than to put out there the kinds of things that are written in this complaint. I would never want to be volunteering that those things took place with or around or in any way.
right.
That's
one of your
that's why I
comments
keep
here.
wanting.
One of your
insane.
comments here from Courier. Trust me, I'm a probation parole officer that deals with nothing but sex offenders for the state of Tennessee. I have a lot of people on my caseload that I'm assuming what he meant to say was it did what Brock and Vince did. It's called sexual battery of authority. Yeah, this is what we're talking about. It's thanks for your input there, bud. But like this is what we're talking about, is just that, you know, this is a crime. Now, just because, you know, Vince was federally investigated for this. We don't know we don't know what the status of that investigation is until, you know, and I get wrestling reporters that get pissed off when I say that, because it's like, well, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to be honest. I don't think there probably is an ongoing federal investigation anymore, likely because, you know, his wife's on the cabinet, and we know what's happened with a lot of Trump's friends and their cases that's happened. They just dry up out of anywhere. That doesn't mean
they're shredding the FBI's budget, so they're getting
and you know, they really attacked the SDNY office, you know, Southern District of New York, because that's the one that convicted Vince, or not Vince, but that's the one that convicted Trump of 34 felonies. There's a huge political element of this that's even much bigger than just Vince's story.
Yeah.
But the thing is, you look at what's going on, is like, okay, is this an ethical thing you can do? Is this an ethical thing that, let's say me, Sam, Mel, anybody else, if we do this and we're named in a complaint and it's involving somebody, it's you know, who's accused of other crimes, and you're getting them and you're looking at, you're getting that and you're thinking, okay, would regular people like us keep our jobs if this was the same thing?
Right.
No, we would not have our jobs. You don't even have to be public facing to have your name in a lawsuit like this with these kind of allegations. And yet they're bringing them out with music popping hard. You know, I mean, the biggest, you know, maybe if WWE didn't have such a horrible track record for the last 50 or 60 years, maybe bringing Bach back isn't such a thing. The problem is you still got people that in that company that have faced multiple sexual harassment allegations that have problems. I mean,
Michael Hayes is still a producer on SmackDown, and according to that amended lawsuit, Janelle was ordered by Vince McMahon to create sexual content for him that he also shared with his crew. And that man is still employed.
Lee Fitting is the executive producer, and he was at Game Day, which is the biggest show on ESPN. It's a college football show, pregame show. It's become a tradition. It's it's the standard of the network. He ran it, and he got booted out for sexual harassment allegations.
Sure did.
That was a huge story in The Athletic. It was a big story in just normal sports media.
It sure was.
WWE hired him right on the spot, and then they didn't, and they haven't even released a statement about it. So,
And every episode of Raw and SmackDown that appears, it says executive producer Paul Levesque. Lee Fitting. And I even pointed that out in my article on Sunday. When the last scene that we see Sunday is John Cena laid out, Brock Lesnar behind him, and plastered on the screen is executive producer Paul Levesque and Lee Fitting. And I was like, if that isn't WWE in a nutshell, I don't know what is.
That's to your point. I used to tell my male coaches, especially, don't ever let there be any question about you and a child, make sure that you have a female. I would like pair them. I would make sure that there was a male coach and a female coach almost on all of my sites. We would, because it was like, you don't even want someone murmuring about it, because that could lose you your job and you will never get hired in childcare ever again.
Yeah, you got to be.
Like, it was a part of my job to like teach people, educate them on exactly what you're saying, is because they would lose their job and even their potential in their career.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that
this guy's getting like,
I think one of the things that keeps getting forgotten in this conversation, and I really want to drive this point home, that had Brock Lesnar been able to meet with Janelle any of the times that he attempted to, he would have been the recipient of a sex trafficking victim. That needs to.
Well, he kind of was already. He was getting video from her that was from demand. He already.
Well, that is true. That's a very good point.
Whether he knew of the circumstances involving it, Vince is still accused too. He hasn't been convicted.
As a tweet I saw the other day, if you are getting a new contract, somebody's talking and they are offering you with a contract access to a woman or to someone else, you should call the cops immediately.
Yeah.
That's actually
against federal
contracts. Law. I just passed contracts again. You can't enter into a contract. That's an illegal contract. Everything. There's a huge amount, honestly, of validity to the ability to say that none of these NDAs can be held up, because everything that was done in this situation was under duress, was you were asking for illegal acts. You can't give up your rights even in a contract. So if they're doing something illegal to you, which is they're accused of trafficking her, of making media about her, nothing that Janelle signed during any of that time would be legally, contractually binding.
Yeah.
Like, is it
that's
an
kind
insurance
of
agent?
Their argument. That's one of her team's arguments.
That contract that is a dead contract right there. Like, I would lose my license for that.
Right. And since you bring that up, when I was going back through the case, some of the stuff from my article the other day, when one of the times when Vince McMahon tried to set up an encounter between Lesnar and Grant, when he was at a live event at Madison Square Garden, that attempted setup happened after Vince told her to get an NDA. So he was still trying, even after the fact of getting an NDA, to also set her up with Barack.
Yeah. This Vince was so incredibly, he had the air of somebody who made $1 billion and always got away with it. And this goes back to Rita Marie. One of the stories I heard was that he did Xeroxed I've said this on your show a number of times. He Xeroxed a NDA. It was a blank copy from Jerry McDivitt, and that he just kept copies of them in a drawer, and he would just have people sign them. And with no notary around, nothing official. That's not how an NDA works. But it's like this gets said. Ruben said this on our show the other day. And this is the same. This is what happened with Vince, and this is what's going to happen with WWE if they don't watch some of the stuff that they're doing. You get away with it until you don't.
Yeah. Right.
Vince 100%. Finally he went away with it, kept pushing it, some of the stuff, he's accused of, if it happened, this is somebody who comes off as being mentally ill in a lot of ways. Or a sociopath. If you can't be, wanting to defecate on somebody you consider a girlfriend while they're having intercourse with somebody else. That was an original complaint.
Yeah.
And some of the other things, the way he fetishizes his own wrestlers, especially Brock Lesnar, he seems to do that up and down the board.
He has sex toys of different colors that
the role playing in the sex
I don't want to
toys.
get it. I don't want to judge people based on what their taste and stuff.
No, but you're doing
we're not kink shaming.
But you're doing this.
Shaming, but in this way, in the
context,
he was using sex toys named in different colors and using them as different wrestlers and using it to abuse his girlfriend, who was also a WWE employee, which we need to drive that home. Like,
so okay.
That essentially
if you're a manager at
prison
McDonald's,
office built for her,
right?
Yeah.
Who shared a wall with Paul Levesque. Let's not forget. I made sure to point that out to remind people that office that was built specifically for what Janelle says was to abuse her. She shared a wall with Paul Levesque's office. His office was on the other side of one of those walls.
Yeah, Maria Gracia Sayas. I'm sorry, I haven't taken Spanish in a while. I'm sorry about it, but she says this is beyond just a fetish. That's right. I mean, this. Yeah. This is when people are like getting into this. Okay. Imagine if Vince ran a McDonald's and Janelle Grant was an employee,
right?
And she really needed desperately a job, and this was like how she got treated. Then nobody in their right mind, not only would this be in a criminal case, and not only would it be a huge criminal case, it would have decided a long time ago. There would have been the civil suit would have been decided a long time ago. There wouldn't be any of this happening.
Right.
That's the reality of it. And, people say, well, you can't say that kind of stuff. You're reporting on it and you're trying to report on it as somebody who's non-biased and stuff. And I said, well, I am reporting on it non-biased, but I'd be an idiot not to take into effect that money is an issue here, that the company's had this problem for a long time. Yeah, and this is hardly the only accusation that's been against Vince. There's been tons of them.
And there's multiple NDAs, and he's paid, and it came out in the Wall Street Journal report that he paid millions of dollars to recipients of NDAs because this is a pattern of behavior.
That's even been listed in the SEC reports about him violating laws and rules with the SEC. Is that this is why he paid off. This is why there was this much money changed in hands because of this. I mean, one of those was a Janelle's supposed payoff, which he didn't even complete that. There's a huge the argument. But to me, it's just like, is this really, you really want to have a big blow up for, you really want to have a big move going into your ESPN announcement on Wednesday. And it's like, this is what you do.
That whole statement, as soon as I heard it, it was their normal, which we talk about it all the time. Hey, look over here, not over here. Don't look at the fact that we bought Brock Lesnar back when he's named in the lawsuit. Look at this we're moving to ESPN. Wrestling WWE pay-per-views are going to be on cable for the first time ever. Look over here at this. Don't look over here at what we just did 3 days ago.
But it's also just stupid because it's what are all the social media mentions from SummerSlam onward for the next couple of days? Yeah, Brock's come back, and then the other half are Brock did what?
Right.
Why is he back?
And and Onyx Beats makes a good comment about, remember when Odyssey Jones got fired after the alleged abuse, but he's got cleared supposedly and never came back. And so that was the case. That was an NXT wrestler who was accused of abuse, and they fired him pretty quickly, and he's never returned, even though he was supposedly cleared of that. But they also so on top of all of this, they canceled the press. We need to go back and talk about this. So during night one of SummerSlam, they announced they were canceling press conferences for the foreseeable future. Media had flown in to be part of this. And some see it was told before. I saw one person, I just blanked on her name. She does the Queen of Joshi, or Church of Joshi is one of the shows that she does. Alex, and she does WWE content. She said that she was told, and then they were informed in the middle of night one that the press conference they were supposed to be attending was canceled. We clearly know why. On Sunday, it's because they didn't want to answer questions about why they brought back Brock Lesnar. Because even though most of the media, they have obviously blocked people who don't ask softball questions, have been blocked for months. And so, but if one of them decided to go out and be like, why did you bring Brock Lesnar back? But then
Paul Levesque hasn't read the lawsuit. He probably didn't know.
No, he probably didn't read the amended lawsuit either that names him and his office in it. But then they go, so after the show, I let it play.
Nobody's ever followed up on that. It's been a year,
funny how it happened.
2 years. It's been 2 years since
followed up.
Royal Rumble 2024.
During the post show that comes on afterwards, they are like, Brock Lesnar came back, and they're like hyping it up and acting like Big E looks a little annoyed. And then Paul Levesque comes out and he was like, he threw John Cena under the bus. Said John Cena wanted Brock Lesnar because they had a long rivalry, one of the biggest rivalries. He made it sound like John Cena specifically requested Brock Lesnar to come back. Monday, John Cena's like, no, I didn't. No. He was like, I wrestle whoever they put in front of me. That's my extent. And he just pushed back, and it wasn't like a straight up denial, but it was just as close as he could get to saying, don't put this on me. I had nothing to do with this. Please don't ruin my Hollywood career because you're telling people I brought back this man who's currently named in a lawsuit. Like, don't put that on me. I had nothing to do with this. And somebody, people have made the point that yes, John Cena is very powerful in WWE, but he is not powerful enough to go to say I want Brock Lesnar when you've kept him off. He doesn't have the power to do that. Only Paul Levesque and Nick Khan did. Well, so then during Raw, because I got lucky me, I got assigned to write about it. Michael Cole makes the announcement during Raw that he spoke with corporate officer number 1 and president of WWE, Nick Khan. So let's just remember he is corporate officer number 1 in Janelle Grant's lawsuit, and Paul Levesque, who was COO and also son-in-law of Vince McMahon. He asked both of them about Brock Lesnar, and the decision to bring Brock Lesnar was made several weeks ago, and they told him it was time to come home, and he said, let's do it. Supposedly, this happened 4 weeks ago, which means, so they brought him back 3 weeks after WWE Evolution 2, which means they talked to Brock Lesnar and decided to bring him back before they put on an all-women's PLE to pretend and play in your face that they give a shit about those women that work for them. Just continuously. And so one of the questions I keep coming back to is, how are you, if you are a woman who works for that company, how do you feel safe in that locker room? How do you trust your bosses? How do you, they blamed, John Cena has pretty much, has said, it wasn't me. But if John Cena had any, if he had any involvement in bringing him back or saying, hey, could you make this happen? He says, no, he didn't make that happen. But as a woman, how do you trust John Cena? Even if you're not in that locker room with him, if you're just employed by WWE, how do you trust your bosses when they brought this man back? And then they say WWE legal cleared him. But what does that mean? Because he's still in the lawsuit.
Well, he was on TKO's no-no list, which is their no-go list. The TKO's attorneys were like, no, you can't have him on. Something changed. I'm guessing maybe they were pushing for him to return, or they felt that, I thought maybe there was a settlement coming in the suit. Maybe they think they're going to win the arbitration hearing. I don't know. That would make sense if they had won the arbitration hearing. But to me, this was just arrogance. It was just, we're going to do what we want to do. We're going to pressure the lawyers, and we're going to do this, and I'm going to do that. And if you watch how the company's been built, a lot of this is just all Triple H. He's just wanting. It's like he's running this company like right now. He's counter programming AEW like it's 1997 and
he's not.
Nitro. You don't think so? Because it's
I'm being sarcastic. I have to make sure and just play the troll in the group every time.
Well, it's just like, okay, why are you counter programming all these shows thinking you're gonna what are you gonna do to AEW? They're getting $200 million a year. Right. They're number 1 on most Wednesday nights. They're not. They're always in the top 5, even when there's other big sports going on.
Mm-hmm. Shouldn't they be worried about their own product than somebody else's? Shouldn't
but this is Vince's MO. Vince took out a full page ad in the New York Times about WCW and Ted Turner. This is on brand for them. This is what they do. And now it's rumored, because some people are talking about, some of the stuff about Saudi. Now there's a rumor that they could potentially do 2 WrestleManias in 2027, and one of those will be in Saudi Arabia. That is a rumor. And that they want to bring in The Rock, which would not, because Brock has wrestled on the Saudi shows before. So it is also possible that that's another reason that they brought him back. But one of the tweets I thought made me laugh was, sure, they brought Brock back while he's named in this lawsuit, but let's also not forget the fact that he's nearly 50 years old and he got winded after walking down a ramp and delivering an F5 and was winded already.
that's another thing about all this. It's hard to understand. It's like Gunther or Braun Breaker couldn't have done that. I mean, as he's getting ready, you think he's going to pull his boots off?
You have the big men. You even have Obafemi, who was one of their biggest stars in NXT. And that's somebody said the same thing. Like, if you need a big guy, like, you're not hurting for them. You've got Gunther, who just lost the title the night before. I mean, so like you could have had him go for John Cena. I mean, granted, he's injured and he's taking time off for surgery.
Is this something that WWE fans wanted, though? I mean, no,
I don't think so.
They wait for WWE to tell them what they want.
Give them their marching orders, just like the standard cultists on the interwebs.
I mean, it's what it feels like. It's like, you see some of the
they'll make sure they get their talking points first thing Monday morning, and they'll stick to that narrative for the rest of their lives.
Yeah,
my daughter, she watches some AEW. She's in and out of wrestling a little bit, and she's gone to a couple shows. She never really liked WWE that much. My son he really liked Bray Wyatt quite a bit, so he'd watch it.
Understandable.
But we sat down and we're watching just maybe the last hour and a half, 2 hours of Mania, not this year, but last year when Cody won the title. And she's just looking at me like, when are they going to wrestle? 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 She doesn't listen to she doesn't read what I read or write or anything like that. I don't give, most of the time she wants to watch TV. It's usually a Marvel show or, something girl oriented that she likes. She loves to read. She does editing on her time. She's a cheerleader. She's into that stuff. She talks to French. She's not into what this stuff is, but she's like, she goes, how many videos are they going to show? Is the match coming up next? Oh my God. Well, how long? Yeah. This match going to be an hour and a half long, Dad? I don't know. And I'm just like, I just wanted to see Cody. And it's like, so we finally get to the match, and she's like just burned out. She goes, I was so excited to see this, and now I don't want to see it. It's like, this is their MO. It's just they're pushing their fans to the brink. And that's another problem with the ESPN deal. Somebody, Sancho was somebody I retweeted who came up.
Yes, I saw that. I have it saved here.
This was a great tweet, and I've cited it on every podcast have been this week.
And I have it. I actually retweeted it after I saw it on your.
So okay. If you want Netflix, let's say you get the non-ad tier, $17.99.
Yep.
Ad tier anyway, $7.99.
Right.
But then you get all the ads. With Raw, it doesn't make any difference, I don't think. No. Or maybe it does. I don't know.
Because it's live. No, it doesn't make a difference.
Yeah. So anyway, that's $17.99 if you get the cool tier of Netflix, which is what Netflix should be, which is no commercials. That's another streaming issue that I'm hearing more about, and we'll discuss later at some point. Not on the show, but just when I'm writing and doing stuff. Okay, $17.99 for Netflix. It's $49.99 if you get, let's say, the blue tier of Sling, right?
Oh, Sling.
That gets you both CW, that gets you USA Network. That's
how you watch NXT and SmackDown.
So that gets you NXT, that gets you SmackDown, and that gets you Raw. How much money are we up to right now? That would be $49.99, $50 plus 17 for Netflix. That would be about $67, right? Mm-hmm. Probably 65, whatever. Add in 30 for ESPN. You're getting, once you add all this stuff up together, it was $94 just a month, which means $1,200 a year to watch just base WWE programming.
Right. And the WWE, the ESPN deal, you're only getting 3 to 4 hours of or several hours of content just the pay-per-view only.
No
you're not
library.
The library. They have not said what's happening to the library, and a lot of people think it's going to go to YouTube because they've been testing out Vault things and they're getting a ton of views. So people think that that's where the library is going to go to YouTube.
Yeah, they've been testing a WCW channel that I know a lot of people love, and it's usually live stream.
Heard that too.
There's they live stream old shows, and people just they love it. They're in the chat, and that might be the best thing they've done in the last year. Mm-hmm. I don't know how much money that's going to bring them. I'm guessing they're figuring it.
Yeah, because they're AdSense. They're obviously going to get money from it.
Yeah, and the libraries just don't bring the money that they do. But let's say for some reason they keep it on Peacock, and you want to be able to watch Raw from 10 to 15 years ago. Guess what? You'll have to pay for Peacock.
And you Peacock don't know what's is raising their prices.
$3 a month. That's coming up soon. So
this has been my question as someone who, so I get the highest tier of internet because we are PC people and we use enough devices. So I get Peacock free with my internet subscription. And then I have also done like digital cable because it's cheaper to go through my provider digitally to get Max and all, because of exactly, I've been making this point all week. I'm like, who can afford to keep buying all of these little it's like you said, you just did the math. It added up to like $90, $65 to $90.
Yep.
Who has 65 to 90 extra dollars right now? I think it was a bad move in a lot of ways because even buying a $17.99 tier for Netflix, like they had to add that cheaper tier. I just dumped the high-end tier because I
dumped it last month because I
need to, because Peacock I don't have the extra money.
And Peacock just created a lower tier for the same exact reasons.
But
my guess, the
reason
I think,
so am I going to lose my free Peacock because
you're going to lose pay-per-views? You can't watch in 2026. Pay-per-views will not be on Peacock. They will be on ESPN only.
March they will be.
The only reason that I was doing anything involving WWE at all was because of my free. I won't watch. That means so I'm done with WWE PLEs then, I guess.
Yes,
is what
in 2026. Means. And so thankfully, because sometimes I help with coverage, I never got rid of cable because the only way I could watch Braves baseball, it would be blacked out otherwise. So I kept cables and I have ESPN, so I will get the pay-per-views for free. So if I continue helping out with coverage, then I'll have access to it. And there's a tweet. I retweeted it from my account and from Power Bombshells. His name is Nicholas DeLeon, and he works for Consumer Report. He made an interactive guide to kind of help you figure out if you have to pay for ESPN Plus or not, or if you'll be able to access WWE pay-per-views. You put in, there's questions like, are you a cable subscriber? Do you subscribe through like YouTube TV? Do you subscribe or do you not subscribe to do you not have access to ESPN at all? And you click the button and it'll tell you, do you get access?
So my cable subscription that has ESPN as a part of it will show me.
But some people will have to. But some people, some companies do not. Brandon Thurston put out an article this morning. Some companies like YouTube TV, yes, you will be able to watch it if you have.
And I'm like through Xfinity.
But if other stuff, they will have to get they would have to work out a specific deal with
carriage
ESPN.
Deals.
They would have to do
out. So for ESPN, are they going to have to redo their whole deal with Xfinity now? Because
they are going to have to come to an agreement with Xfinity. So
they're going to have to do carriage fees, and they're going to have to do
all the companies. But yes, they'll have to come up with a deal because it's for ESPN Plus. So that's how you access it. It's not even on like regular. I believe it's through ESPN Plus. Is how you have.
So what about my Disney subscription that already has Hulu on it?
And ESPN. As part of that announcement Wednesday,
you should go click those buttons, Mel, and it'll tell you.
BJ's here.
As part of
he doesn't know either.
as part of the announcement Wednesday, Hulu's getting folded into Disney Plus.
Yes, they are.
It's
going to become one.
I see what's going on here.
So
cable is making a comeback. Let's just.
I was literally just going to say I remember my first cable subscription.
Yep.
But this is basically going to be ESPN's way of trying to replace the carriage free, which is they're going to try to make deals with each of these streaming services to have them take the ESPN app, and so if that would save you, are going to have to cash.
I had to put that up there because it made me laugh.
It's so true.
John, you're hilarious. I would say, this is going to be their way of trying to get back carriage fees, and I think it's also WWE's way of trying to get back into the pay-per-view. I guess it's their way to jump at it.
Remember when they beat it into your brain that if you didn't pay $9.99 for the network, you're a dumb idiot? And I
remember.
And then they've made there's a generation of fans who have only ever watched pay-per-views through either the network or Peacock. Those are the only places they've never paid $50 for a pay-per-view. They've never gone to Hooters or to Buffalo Wild Wings to watch a pay-per-view because it's cheaper. They're about to get introduced to that again.
Yeah, I was just thinking. So I've been thinking about this all week. So you've been giving this stuff to people for free or for very affordable pricing for a long, long time now. All of a sudden, starting next year, hard out, $30, $50. Like,
yep.
What?
Yep, they don't care. They're here to
And
make.
it's
As
not
we
like
have
the
talked about,
economy's getting.
TKO is here to make money, and they're going to make as much money as possible, run it into the ground, and then sell it off. And if
Well, and
that,
I
if
understand.
this
I mean,
isn't proof of that, I don't know what is.
That's
is
another
obviously-
discussion. Yeah, I've had with other people, which is that okay, at this point you're not going to have any more money coming in than you do right now. Once you get your UFC deal taken care of, which obviously they're having problems hitting their $1 billion per year mark that they wanted.
Now, are they suspending their quarterlies like some of these other companies, big companies, are doing? Like,
I don't know. I don't really watch the quarterly stuff.
Because a lot of companies are actually not. I don't know how they're getting away with this legally, but a bunch of companies aren't releasing quarterly projections to their shareholders and stuff. And I'm like, how is that? I mean, I kind of know the answer. It's a little rhetorical, but how is that legal? Those are publicly traded companies. They're supposed to be putting that out. If Nick Khan is like, he's one of the guys that does this. He's a ghoul. Like, he knows how to do market economics and corporate and mergers and all of these great, like, he is like, this should freak people out a little bit, but also at what point is it like enough going to be enough for people? Because the economy is not getting
I think
better.
they're getting ready to find out. I think WWE fans being treated like UFC fans is getting closer and closer to backfiring.
Those are families and working class people for the large part.
The WWE fan base is a lot different than the UFC fan base, and
a lot different.
And I think they're getting ready. WWE is getting ready to find out a lot within the next year.
When they showed Trump, when they showed Triple H with Trump and maybe it was RFK at the pay-per-view, they got booed. They tried to show that video twice.
Just
and
like
they got
Dana
booed
White
out of
got
the arena.
booed twice.
Didn't they take it off the? And when they posted it, they muted it out or whatever.
Yeah. And
they also remember when they booed Hogan out of the building just back in January. He got booed out of the building, and
I love the way they tried to shame fans for booing Hogan because you know that was his last appearance before he died. Well, I guess you shouldn't say racist shit and not apologize it. Then try to gaslight the roster during a supposed apology.
Yeah, there's generations of fans who watch this company who only know Hulk Hogan as a racist. They don't know anything else about him because they are young and they missed all of that. So that's what they know, is that this man is a racist. So and you're in LA on top of that. Of course you're gonna get booed out of the building.
Today's like teen, young adult WWE viewers want to see guys that I was watching 25 and 35 years ago. I mean, I hate to say that out loud.
It heavily relies on nostalgia. Anytime they need a ratings pop, that's what they've done. They've had those WWE.
I just don't know if that model is sustainable at this point.
I know, but that's what whether it's sustainable or not, that's what they do. They constantly did that the last few years to get ratings boosts. They would have a WWE Legends night, and they'd bring back, and the whole show would be centered around Legends coming back. They also, they did like the DX 25 years to bring back to get the big pop. That's what they do. They rely on nostalgia, and because that's what they want to do. They want you to remember how you felt as a kid, not how you feel as an adult. And I want to make sure that before we end up ending this conversation, I do want to go back. I want to make sure we talk about some of the comments that came out from Paul Heyman, Paul Levesque, and Cody Rhodes in relation to Brock Lesnar, because we need to make sure that people are aware of this. So Paul Heyman went on Ariel Helwani's show, who will not push back, deliver softballs, just sits there and listens, doesn't really say anything. So Paul gets on there talking about how Brock Lesnar is not going to get canceled. Listen to that pop. People want to see him. Everybody has critics. Jesus had critics. Moses had critics. Muhammad had critics. God had critics. Abraham Lincoln had critics, even though they were wrong. Our JFK had critics, even though they were wrong. Trump has critics. Obama has critics. You're not going to everybody has critics. He sat there and compared Brock Lesnar, who is named in a lawsuit where he would have been the recipient of a sex trafficking victim. Let's make that perfectly clear. And compared him to Jesus Christ himself because he had critics. Paul Heyman's already a pretty scummy guy. If you have not seen the Dark Side of the Ring episode on Chris Candido and Tammy Lynn Sitch, go watch it. You'll learn lots about Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman is a terrible person. So I'm not surprised by anything, but the audacity to compare Brock Lesnar to Jesus Christ, Moses, and Muhammad, and God himself is one of the most insane things I have ever heard come out of a WWE employee's mouth. And I saw it because BJ shared it. That's how I saw it.
That's madness.
The thing I took most from that segment was I know Paul Heyman. I don't know him personally, but I've known people that have known him, and I've had friends that got major league screwed by him when they worked in ECW, and he owes them hundreds of thousands of dollars to this day. Some of them aren't alive to collect it.
Right.
But the thing that disgusted me most with that segment was that Ariel Helwani sat there and let him say all that stuff and didn't challenge him on any of it.
No.
That guy used to be a journalist. Remember when he was on Real Sports? He used to actually do meaningful work once in a while.
Yeah, remember when Bill Simmons used to do stuff too? But then now he produces the WWE.
Bill Simmons never did real anything.
But he produced the Netflix documentary on Vince McMahon. So he is also a place where these people can go and just say anything. And he told Cody that before Brock came back, he told Cody, I'm not going to ask you about Vince McMahon because I don't think people want to hear it. And and then if I have follow-up questions, your answers are going to look dumb. And Cody's like, yeah, I'm glad. Basically, Cody was like, yeah, I'm glad you didn't ask me about that.
Yeah, I bet you he is. I think Cody Rhodes is an adult, and he's also the leading baby face of the company. I think he can probably handle. This is somebody who was also an aspiring politician at one point.
Yeah, right.
I think he can answer a couple questions.
Yeah, I think he can too. And then
I would say to him, your wife was a wrestler in that company, and you also have a daughter. How do you feel about this?
Right, exactly. And Cody went on ESPN, or there was a quote attributed to ESPN, and Cody said, Brock is somebody who is an NCAA champion, UFC heavyweight champion. He fits right with the direction that WWE is going in terms of sports meeting entertainment. That's Cody's
kind of a non-answer.
That's his little corporate line that they're like, hey, can you go out and be like you're behind this? Could you say this? I didn't listen to the full interview. Maybe there's more.
The question I would really love to ask Cody is, before he came over, Vince was still in charge. There wasn't anything that was going on as far as the lawsuit yet. I don't know if the stockholder investigation happened. I don't think it had happened either.
I can't remember.
But I would ask Cody Rhodes, if you knew, would you go back to work for Vince McMahon if you knew what was going to happen with him and what he was going to be under federal investigation and what was going to to in the grant suit? That's what a question I'd have for Cody Rhodes.
That's the question.
I just would like to know. It's just like he was one of the guys who led the movement away from all this stuff. He wants to be credited with he believes he's not credited with that movement enough.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, then where do you stand on this? I don't think Cody likes any of this one bit, one way or the other. But it's like, I think people need to stand up and start saying that. It's like CM Punk, if people's like, yeah, I think it's crap that they did what they did to him, made him go to Saudi, made him into a hypocrite, but he could always say no. Cody can say no. Cena can say no. Cena could say, you know what? I didn't want to do this angle with Lesnar. I thought it was crap. I don't want to be involved with him.
CM Punk is only a performative feminist, remember.
I do want to bring up, but I don't want to go on a whole other tangent about that.
It's frustrating.
Because
You're not wrong.
But the stuff here is about Brock Lesnar. And I want to read this comment from Triple H. It said, Triple H says, when he asked what is next for Brock Lesnar, he told ESPN whatever the hell he wants. Brock Lesnar sort of does what he wants to do, so we're thrilled to have the beast back. We hit him up and said time to come home, and he was into it. A massive moment for our fans, something they thought they wouldn't get to see. Those are some choice.
He did it for the fans.
That he gets to do.
Well, it was Cena's fault and the fans' fault because they wanted him back.
to say that Brock Lesnar, who is named once again named in a lawsuit where he
doing whatever he wants, essentially,
right? He also, Terry Runnels was on Dark Side of the Ring and talked about how he got her attention and then flashed her and exposed himself to her. This is a man who clearly does whatever he wants. So Paul Levesque is right in that sense. But to say those were some very choice words that he used, and I don't think he used them. I think he knew what he was doing when he said that. But they're in your face about what they're doing. They do not care. Because then they said that basically, I can't remember who to attribute this to now, but they basically said, as long as it's not criminal, they don't care. So as of right now, no, it is not criminal. However, if they are granted discovery, and it gets further along, a prosecutor could change their mind about that.
And I hope they overshot this one. I really do. I really hope that their arrogance gets in their way this time and they lose get past arbitration and go to discovery. And I mean, I know that's a huge long shot. And I know that we're not living in the right situation for the best case scenario to be set up for success.
Well, even if let's say Grant decides to settle, it's like, okay, how do you calculate the damage done here? And then how do you, WWE's part of this suit as well. And as part of that's punitive damages.
Yeah.
And you look at what happened to her as far as you look at what's happening in the lawsuit. It's like, how do you put a number on punitive damages against WWE in this instance? I mean, 100 million. I mean, what would be the number? I mean, it would have to be huge. I mean, to punish them in a civil court for the injury that they caused to Janelle Grant. I mean, you're looking at, there's always a chance too, you get other women to join into the suit.
Yeah.
A lot may come down to what happens with the NDAs. A lot may come down to other things. I've heard things about why there hasn't been more women coming forward. But I think that it's such. The only excuse for it is they're not living in reality, and it's just really arrogance. They get away with it until they can't. That's the thing. Vince got away with it until he couldn't. And the thing is, he now looks like a crypt creeper who's now more famous for. I mean, this is a guy who ran 3 weeks ago, ran to the rear end of a woman's car at 90 miles per hour. And this isn't the first instance of that. Yet he's probably back on the road right now. If me or you try to ran into somebody on a 90-year-old interstate byway, it runs around the coast, it has wooden guardrails, and smashed into him at 90 miles per hour in the rear end, driving recklessly, we'd most likely be in jail waiting for whatever. I mean, he did pay bond, but it's.
Yeah, but they probably said it at a price.
I always try to push with this stuff is that when they come at the excuses, always say, okay, fine. How does this apply to anybody else in the same situation? And the problem is that you're making excuses. You're making excuses for people that you would yourself would not get away with, that you couldn't even use on yourself. So to me, it's like, just because they've really managed, and this was something when I was talking to Jim Valley on his podcast, he mentioned that Janelle Grant mentioned that he had tons of books in his library and his shelves about psychology. He was really about trying to give fans to give them like an emotional bonding with their company. It's like, it is almost coldish that way. And that's probably why we feel that vibe coming from it. Mm-hmm. And it's just like people will come after them about this stuff. Like, it's like, you're attacking my childhood. No, you're not. It's like, it's just one reason why people for years couldn't figure out why the FBI in the 90s couldn't figure out why the FBI in the 90s didn't go after the Ring Boy side of the scandal, which they had much more evidence, which they had witnesses and everything, and they instead went after the steroid side of it, which was not nearly as big a case.
Yeah,
and I think the reason is that it was so horrible. It was just to convince these jurors that this actually happened would have been extremely hard to do.
Right.
And to this day, I think that's probably why they opted to go the other way. And,
Sean makes this comment here that Brock married a woman who sued the company for sexual harassment 25 years ago for $50 million. The president has long been set with the ring boy scandal and perpetually reinforced while Vince ruled.
Yeah.
Phil
Mushnick was asked in federal court during deposition about Vince telling him about the return of Mel Phillips as a referee. And part of that was that he's one of the main, he passed away from years ago, but he was supposedly one of the heads in abusing the ring boys. But part of what really was a head shaker was that he supposedly told Mushnick, he was under oath at the time, that him and Linda knew the problems and that they brought him back, and they made the decision to bring him back because he promised he wouldn't be around the boys again.
Yep.
That's the kind of decision-making process these people have.
Yeah.
So when you're looking at these things, and then Levesque's not that much different than Vince. I mean,
No.
the stuff we heard about him in 2000, 2001, watch the way he handled his opponents, and watch the way, I mean, there's a reason why Austin and Rock left almost immediately when he started getting a big push back in that day. I was around for that. I mean, his statements this week were terrible. They're idiotic. They only work well in his dream world. And
as people point out, he wants to, when WWE is doing well and does positive things, Paul Levesque wants on the credit. When they do bad things, he throws everybody else under the bus.
That sounds a lot like his father-in-law.
Yeah. So
I mean, his father-in-law ran a full-page ad in the New York Times that said that Ted Turner's hurting WWF. It's like, why would and he aimed it at Turner shareholders. It's like, why the hell would Turner shareholders?
You blame their fans
WWF?
too.
Yeah. It's like, it's just the kind of world they live in. It's just arrogance
But this generation has gotten away with this. Especially the people in power. This is like institutional. This is, I mean, the word affluenza exists for a reason.
Right.
This is very institutional to the way that our system is, from the top all the way to these little ancillary people that are in positions of power. Sadly, this is like this is the behavior that we have set forth as acceptable from our leaders, from the people that are in authority positions. I mean, we've got a dude who's running this nation running around dropping F-bombs. That's okay if I'm here on my Sunday morning podcast here and there. I might slip. You're the leader of a very large military and a very large market economy. Get your shit together, dude.
Right. I do want to, so we need to, we did not go back. I want to go back and make sure we read the statement from Janelle Grant's people. So I got the statement. I mean, a lot of other people did too. Apparently, based on timestamps, it appeared that I posted the statement first and actually got somebody. The reason I say this is not to brag, but I'd gotten someone in my DMs who was like, congratulations, looks like you got it first. I had somebody quote tweet my statement, tag Brandon Thurston to ask if the statement I posted was real, delete it, and then retweet it from Sean Ross Sapp. So they can't even take a woman. They had to get that from a man to confirm. He had to go to two men to confirm.
Who was it?
I don't know. Some dude named at Powerheart is his at. And so he thought I wouldn't have seen it. Then I had somebody in, where was the other one? I had somebody in my replies asking where the article was that I got that statement from. And I said, I got it directly from Janelle Grant's team. And he was like, and then he tagged Fightful. And I said, I have the same contact Fightful has. And he was like, well, is this really her team or is this somebody who knows her? So have men doubting me in my replies because I
You've been
got
covering this
because
for a
I
year and a
posted
half,
it
and you've
before
been
Fightful did, and I posted it before Brandon Thurston, so I couldn't possibly know what I'm talking about.
But you're a girl, so they
I'm
needed it typed
right.
in a boy. They needed it typed in a boy's voice.
Yes, even though it was literally copied and pasted. But yes,
Oh, man.
so
Or that.
that's why I bring that up, because these are this is the type of things that happen about this case. So the statement from Janelle Grant's spokesperson said, for far too long, abuse has been allowed to thrive under WWE's leadership. Instead of righting the wrong, WWE has done nothing to ensure those responsible are held accountable. This attempt to sweep misconduct under the rug will backfire. We look forward to the full set of facts, including those about Mr. Lesnar, coming out in a court of law where they belong. But in the meantime, we refer you back to Janelle Grant's updated complaint, which outlines in detail the abuse she endured by McMahon and others while employed by WWE or at WWE.
Reading.
Right. And so
People
as
need
this,
to read.
and as this stands now, I believe where we are at legally, we are waiting for, because obviously John Laurinaitis has said that he will help Janelle Grant's team. He has been dropped from the lawsuit. WWE and Vince McMahon have filed once again to try to get this to go to arbitration, and that's where things stand now, because somebody asked me the other day if there's a court date. There is not one, because WWE and Vince McMahon are still trying their best to get this to go to arbitration, which is why some people thought that's why Brock came back, was maybe they were going to arbitration or they were getting her to settle. At this moment, according to that statement, does not appear. As BJ said, nothing has changed in regards to Janelle's lawsuit. As of now, it is still being litigated. Nothing has changed there. Regardless of them telling you of WWE legal cleared him, we don't even know what that means. So nothing has changed from that standpoint. And I was trying to remember if there was, I think there was anything else I was going to bring up in relation to that. But yeah, so yeah, that's, I guess, pretty much where we're at with that. And then Vince does have to go. He is supposed to face a judge for the car wreck on August the 26th. Of course, that could get pushed back, or, who knows, but
we'll keep you updated.
Yeah, definitely make sure you follow BJ, because BJ has gone so far as to ask for body cam and dash cam footage from that.
Nice.
I only said that because you said it on your own podcast.
That's right.
I'm not sharing false information or sharing.
Yeah, but nobody listens to the podcast. They listen to yours.
Stop.
All right.
Listen,
well, I got to get out of here, guys. Thanks for having me.
I appreciate it. I know that you
As
were supposed to be out of here. So thank you so much for being here today. Thank you for all of your knowledge and feedback. And we promise we will have you on one day to talk about positive things and nothing to do with this crazy, insane company that I wish I did not have to talk about.
Yes.
We will definitely have you on for fun stuff at some point in the future.
Awesome. I'll hold you to that.
Yes.
Thank you for coming.
You guys are awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Oh, what a conversation. And unfortunately, I've got, when I came in the other day to announce that I was there for my shift on Friday, I was like, I'm here, even though I hate this company more than I ever have. But I get.
Well, when you messaged me, because it was like, I think I got the message like late that night.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I was doing something. And you messaged me and you were like, in case you haven't seen it on Twitter. And it was like, yeah, that's I especially actually, you know what? I especially remember that it was you and that it was that night, because at some point I kind of just like to set my phone down at the end of the day. And I'm really trying to really commit, especially to, I limit myself for my mental health and for all the reasons. And
very smart.
But I get to a certain point at night where it's like, okay, I'm going to stop looking at that, because no doom scrolling it's more than ever, they're just programming it to make you do that. And so I'm like, no, I'm not playing your game. I put you down. Right. And it's so, because my Slack notifications with you are on, it came through when you did
Right.
it. And I was like, okay, interesting. So I just cracked it up because I was like, oh, and something crazy from SummerSlam was going on. And of course, I read, in case you haven't seen it on Twitter, they brought Brock back. And I swear to God, I said, who asked for this? And Bob was like, what?
Paul Levesque and Nick Khan, apparently.
I mean,
not John Cena.
I know it's the MO, and I know that they tried that inane BS with them trying to be like, oh, John Cena. I'm like, guys, two things. No. And also, he is like about to premiere his second season of a series with a new, like, DCU is being completely rebooted. It's James Gunn's universe now.
Right.
Ironically, also someone who's been, but it's just, it's the new world. And he is not going to risk that by being like, why don't you get that guy who's named 44 times in that sex trafficking lawsuit against Vince McMahon on out here for my, that, because they were literally turning the guy back babyface, right?
Right. They turned Friday, the Friday before the SmackDown before SummerSlam. So 2 nights before his match, they turned him babyface. He and Cody cracked a beer in the middle of the ring, and that solidified his babyface turn.
So it doesn't even
so that he could get beat down by Brock Lesnar.
I mean, I know that all these people that have their little cultists and their tribes that they have to be a part of will tie themselves in pretzel knots to maintain the narrative that these companies are feeding them or whatever. They will simp for their billionaires of choice no matter what. But there has been some bad takes on this situation this week. I mean, bad takes.
And
like
an
incomplete transaction doesn't equal anything is like the bad. If you are dying on that hill, on that narrative, you need to seek mental help immediately.
And as you kind of say this, I screenshot this to talk about this here. So in my I spent a lot of time blocking people.
Yes,
after I posted
as she should, because
I just did not respond because it's not worth it. I can't tell who. Some of them I'm convinced are bots. I was just like, it's not worth it. I'm not going to.
You guys are definitely getting
mental
botted.
health. I'm just going to block everything. But I saw this first, and I screenshot it. So some person was like, the spokesperson is right unless McMahon pays off Grant and settles Lesnar's misdeeds, and his true character will be revealed in the court of law, even if it is a civil court. Somebody said, well, what exactly are his misdeeds? And somebody said, accepting dirty vids. As that's all it boils down to, is the fact that he accepted a video that he demanded, by the way. He demanded.
He gave her his address. He was down to
He gave the address to his hotel room, and the only reason it didn't happen is because there was a snowstorm, and she could not get to.
And like BJ said, she was doing everything she possibly could to not be a victim of sex trafficking and abuse.
As Nick pointed out, the universe was trying its best to help Janelle out so that she did not have to deal with that. But then she turned around and, then Vince McMahon allegedly forced her into role-playing as he role-played as Brock Lesnar. And
these are the same people that run around and scream law and order and justice for all these people, and that they want to be treated fairly in a court of law and all these things. Well, if you want that, then you need to be able to accept that that is true for other people too. The biggest situation here, the way that America is supposed to work, is that we mitigate, or we put these things through the judicial process, and we let people decide. But none of these people that are online that you and BJ are catching in your, and again, if you guys aren't pissing someone, like if you're not doing your job, if you're not pissing people off. When we know that Sam and BJ are doing their job, folks, they catch an extraordinary number. As I told them this week, they catch so many
BJ
clowns.
does. And sometimes BJ talks, and I get it. BJ will
well, once in a while,
and I get it, but I'm like, I can't, for my mental health, I cannot respond to these people.
There's very rare occasions where I will take somebody that is so stupid, and I just have to put, I hate boosting. I will never boost people if I can help it.
Sure. I know, I get it. Yeah.
But sometimes every so often, someone does something so spectacularly dumb on the internet that it warrants being pointed out. And so I get it. Like, and he had, like, again, because of the way that certain kinds of engagement work, I can get away with sort of lurking, and I mean, I back sass when it's applicable to certain people, because it's a very simple, and there's a very simple solution to all the people on the internet's problems. The particularly the very sensitive, fragile snowflakes who like to use those terms, but exemplify those traits more than the people they're using them on. Those people just need to go outside. They need to get some fresh air. They need to realize that the internet is not real life. And sadly, because they're influencing our lives, like I don't know. They're making me crazy. And so I just say, you guys are doing your job, and you're catching trolls, and you're catching clowns, and you should start a circus, and that's just true. But it's
the guy that
it's fragile snowflakes that are the real fragile snowflakes are the ones that are usually out there simping for bad behavior because A, they've participated in bad behavior, or B, they might want to participate in bad behavior someday, so they can't call out other people's bad behavior.
Right. And so I want to go back to the guy that said it was not illegal. The guy who responded and said accepting dirty vids said that the video was basically like an OnlyFans.
No, that's entirely not how OnlyFans works. So
no, there are, yes, in some cases maybe OnlyFans when it is agreed consensually between two adults and two individuals, but in this case, she was demanded to do it to submit a video of her urinating. That is what that video was. That is
OnlyFans is I choose to go out and show pictures of my hands or feet or nose or butt or whatever the hell they'll let what their terms of service allow. I do that in the safety of my own home instead of out on the streets. It's a slightly better model because sex is always going to be out there selling. So at least people aren't. I mean,
yeah. And that is the person who is creating the content has the autonomy the autonomy to complete this transaction.
Correct.
And in Janelle Grant's case, she was doing it because she was ordered to by Vince McMahon, and it was ordered to basically whatever Brock Lesnar wants, he gets. And so that it is not like
when your COO is just going out on TV and saying he does whatever he wants. That's an even bigger slap in the face.
Curry had the Mann Act has been introduced into this, so that is something that because her team was looking at trying to get RICO charges and also charges related to the Mann Act because it would have been going across state lines, because he tried to get her Madison Square Garden, and also he told her to fly to Greenville, even if it was just to let her see Brock, because Vince McMahon texts like he's a 12-year-old. And so there is that. I meant to bring this up with BJ, but I want to make sure that we discuss this, because there are prominent people in wrestling one of them used to own a wrestling website that I currently write for. He thankfully sold it before I came to work there. And then the owner of one of the biggest wrestling websites was also pushing this narrative, saying that Janelle said that Brock didn't do anything illegal. Janelle Grant has never said that, to my knowledge. Neither has anybody from her team. Apparently, because somebody responded in my comments to this, and somebody was like, "Bro, that's chat GPT," because there's a screenshot going around claiming that she said this. And I talked to another reporter about it as well, and he was like, I think it is AI, when somebody asked for an AI summary and AI got it wrong, but people are passing around like this is correct. So I want to make this very clear. To my knowledge, Janelle Grant nor her team have never said that Brock didn't do anything illegal. That is horseshit. Unless her team comes and said, hey, no, actually she did say this. I have never once seen any type of documentation claiming that she said that. But two of the people who were pushing that narrative is Raj Geary, who used to own Wrestling Inc. And I would not come to work for Wrestling Inc. sought me out on two separate occasions. I would not come there until I knew that he was no longer involved in the lawsuit, because he has gotten drunk on multiple occasions and talked terribly about women wrestlers. And I did not want to be associated with that. He sold that company. When I was the second time that I came back and was approached to write for them, before I even accepted an interview, I made them tell me and assure me that there was no way that Raj Giri was ever coming back, because if he was, I was not accepting the interview. If he ever comes back, I will quit on the spot. I do not want to be associated with that man. We are trying our very best to make Wrestling Inc. relevant and to undo a lot of things that he says, but he has not been associated with that company for several years. He sold it. He is not there. So he's passing all this information, saying that she said that, and is also saying he did nothing wrong because he wasn't criminally charged. And so he's defending. So I just want, for the people who know that he was associated with Wrestling Inc., he sold that site a couple of years ago. He currently has nothing to do with that website. So I want to make that perfectly clear. I would not accept a paycheck from a company that employs that man. But then you also have Jimmy, who is the founder of Fightful, who was also sharing that information and saying things like, well, he didn't do anything. I mean, he's not been criminally charged and things like that. And he was making these tweets. So apparently while Sean Ross Sapp was doing his live stream, did not know these comments were happening. And he was like, I would not have said the things that he said. And it started costing them subscriptions. People who subscribe to Selectful, and people were saying, I know this is not because this is not Sean Ross Sapp's fault. He is not the one saying it. It is Jimmy, but I can not give my money to this company while Jimmy is saying these things. Yeah. So then Jimmy backtracks and was like, I don't want it to make it look like I'm defending Brock Lesnar or WWE here. I'm just saying, like he's doing the I'm just saying type of argument. And so I don't know how many subscribers they ended up losing, but I saw at least a handful who were like, I cannot give them my money anymore. And they were clear to say, it's not Sean Ross Sapp's fault. It is because of the things that Jimmy is saying. So it's just, Brad said Raj Giri has shared that BS post, and then he drunk deleted it the next day, but not before people saw it and ran with it. Yeah, because I had a fellow podcaster who saw it and thought that it was real. And I was like, no, this is incorrect information, because they came to me and said, you are one of the people that has the pulse on the story. Did this ever happen? And I said, not to my knowledge. It has never happened before. I don't know where the screenshot is coming from, but it is, and nobody could. And when people would ask, well, where did the screenshot come from? Nobody had an answer. They couldn't say, oh, it came from so-and-so website. It came from this. It's one of those things that got screenshot and then got spread like wildfire by probably bots. And then people who want to believe WWE and Brock Lesnar over a woman. So they were just sharing it and not giving, not going back to it. But yeah, it's unfortunate. So I just want to make that very clear. To my knowledge, Janelle Grant and her team have never ever said that they don't hold him responsible because he didn't do anything illegal. I have never heard that come from her. If that changes, I will be the first to tell you. But as far as I know, I have never seen it with my own eyeballs. No, he is not. Jimmy Corderas was a referee for WWE. And then he still tries to, he just constantly talks crap about AEW and defends WWE, even though he's not an employee for them and hasn't been for a while.
I feel like some people can't let go of their thing. It's like they're letting go of their identities or something. It's like, let it go, man. Get something else. There's a million other things in the world you can like that don't involve sex predators and weirdness.
Yeah, and then there's of course the podcasters like your Kevin Nashes and your Teddy Longs, and they're gonna defend. They're like, oh, he didn't do anything wrong, or I wouldn't. The trope is, I wouldn't be anything without Vince McMahon. I wouldn't have my career without Vince McMahon. I wouldn't have made this money without Vince McMahon. I wouldn't have bought my house without Vince McMahon. Vince McMahon was like a father to me. Like, those people are probably they either are grifting and are going to say anything that is positive about that company, or they have been brainwashed for so many decades that they are convinced that he can do no wrong, and everybody is lying. All of these people are lying. It can't be the one common denominator here. And
it must be, yeah, for years.
Yeah.
It's just so dumb.
And so it appears, so I make beats. The WWE is a PG company. What are we doing? This is just wrong on so many levels. Kids looking up to people like Lesnar and stuff. And so we don't know like what the process is for this. So like where to go. So they obviously made it look like Brock Lesnar was here to start a feud with John Cena. Well, Friday on SmackDown, Brock Lesnar was not there. They did reshow, like I changed the channel because I'm like, I'm not rewatching this. They showed the video, like I saw the video getting ready to start because they started showing the end of the match. And I was like, nope, I'm putting it back on the Braves game. I'm not watching his return once again. So they mentioned, so it's not like they're hiding it. They didn't say, oh, we made a mistake, or like they're like, oh no, that didn't happen. They showed it, but then immediately Logan Paul comes out and challenges John Cena. And so, I mean,
so was Brock on Raw?
No, Brock has not been seen since SummerSlam.
So they just did that spot and that's it for the whole week?
That's it for the whole week. John Cena is on SmackDown. That is his brand. So I figured he would not be on Raw. He did not come to SmackDown. But then the closing match, so the main event match was John Cena and I forget who his partner was now, against Drew McIntyre and Logan Paul. And then it was Cody. I'm sorry, it was not John Cena. So like they're building up, so then the other big things, they're building up like Cody and Drew. But then I believe John Cena is facing, they're like, hey, Cody did actually win a championship. Like,
remember?
Probably haven't heard.
That's so funny. I was like so busy reading everything else. I actually didn't know if he did or not. I assumed he did, but until you said it today on the podcast, that was the first time I had it actually physically confirmed. Because I wasn't like going looking for this sort of thing. It was
right. No. Yeah. I get it. I wouldn't willingly look. So look, they set up Logan Paul and John Cena for Clash in Paris, which is happening at the end of the month. And obviously it's happening in Paris. So I guess they're getting to that first. I don't know what nobody seems to know what the plan is for Brock as far as like what he's doing.
What was
John Cena is supposed to be John Cena has like, I think after Friday, he has 10 appearances left. That's it. So we know one of those will be Clash at Paris. So at some point, one would assume he's going to face Brock Lesnar. Somebody in the comments said they thought they were saving him for Survivor Series, which is certainly possible that they are going to save him for a really big pay-per-view. But Survivor Series is not until November. So why did you bring him back where you did? Other than it's for the ESPN deal. And then a friend of mine pointed out that he wonders also, because UFC has some kind of deal that he wonders if UFC is going to start showing Brock Lesnar matches, and that if they're going to induct him into the UFC Hall of Fame.
My God, that's so gross.
It is very gross, but I was like, you know what? Certainly tracks with them.
All of the things that because when I told John, he's like, he was the first person to say to me, wait till they bring Vince back. And I was like, no, stop saying that. And I literally, like a few people kept right after him. It was like one right after the other. And I'm like, stop it. Because then I read an actually good article. One of the people in one of our Discord channels gifted a really good athletic article about this situation and why this was nuts, but also why people like the mentality and all these things. But even that person was like, is this paving the groundwork for that? And I was like, dude, you just wrote a really good article and you guys keep saying this, and just with this company, nothing is beyond the pale for these guys. And
so like BJ
like
made
when you told me, it was like, I'm not surprised.
It's just the audacity.
It's just
of them to do it. It's not a surprise. I mean, it is a surprise, and it's not a surprise, as BJ said.
Right.
And BJ did point out, they have been very clear. Bad man gone. Vince McMahon is no longer associated with this company. We don't have anything to do with him other than his daughter still comes on TV. And I wrote about so even before Brock Lesnar comes out, Stephanie McMahon comes out And I got assigned to that story because she gave the total attendance numbers. And he was like, I know that you will say what you need to say. So I put in there that she's corporate officer number 3 because it is a fact. She is in that lawsuit as corporate officer number 3. She's in it. She's listed right alongside corporate officer number 1, Nick Khan, and also Paula Beck, whose office wall was one of his office walls. Janelle's office was on the other side of it. These are all in Janelle's lawsuit. So I will keep reminding you that these people are corporate officers. Some of them are, but obviously Triple H is not. But he is named as far as the office
Or they
goes.
could learn to read and actually go read the lawsuit.
Yeah.
Maybe they'd.
Hey, did you know your wife is listed for in the amended lawsuit? She is officially.
No, he never read the lawsuit. Yeah, remember?
So I clearly didn't read the amended one because in the first one it just said corporate officers 1 through 4.
Right.
It didn't specifically name amended lawsuits. It's right there. It's in black and white. Their names are all in it. Confirm and there was reporting done beforehand by I believe it was Brandon Thurston and Tim Marchand that was at Vice, who did a lot of coverage of the Ashley Massaro case. They both said, based on the information in this lawsuit, we can guess these are the people. And then the amended lawsuit came out and confirmed everything that they reported.
It's no small part that John Laurinaitis got his name took off all of this stuff by completely turning for them.
And we will not. Nobody will forget. He originally was like, "I'll help you." Then he was like, then it appeared WWE and Vince got to him, and he was like, "Janelle's a liar. This isn't true." Then he's back to saying,
"Yeah,
I'm
a victim too."
Which was his original argument, but now he's back to saying, "I will help Janelle Grant team in whatever way necessary." So for that, he is no longer named in this lawsuit, but we will not forget what originally happened. But as far as the lawsuit goes, it only pertains to Vince McMahon and WWE. John Laurinaitis is now no longer a part of the amended lawsuit. He has been dropped from the complaint because he has agreed to help Janelle Grant for whatever reason. We can probably deduce why. But that's how things go here. And I want to answer. Curryhead had a question. It says, Sam, I do got a question for you. This is a legit question. How much news worry is the lawsuit? I know a lot of people that doesn't know about the lawsuit. I've explained it to them. And he says to regular WWE fans, they don't know about it. Well, that I think was evidenced by when they brought Vince McMahon back to TV. When Stephanie, corporate officer number 3, brought her father out to the middle of the ring last year or the year before. It's all running together now, where she's parading him around and led a "Thank you, Vince" chant. People are popping for him because they see him as the Mr. McMahon character. They don't separate, even though the line is really, really blurred between Mr. McMahon, the character, and Vince McMahon, the owner of the company. Lines have been crossed and blurred, and you don't know where Mr. McMahon begins and Vince McMahon ends. So he was getting pops. I mean, yes, I do think they piped in some of that, but some of them were legitimate reactions. They had signs for them. So I think people who are not as online as we are, no, I don't think they know, because the mainstream media has picked up certain things, but because wrestling is wrestling, people disregard it and think they don't. So this is how this stuff has been part of the reason it's been able to fester for so long, because nobody outside of wrestling is holding them accountable, because they think wrestling is fake. They think it's scripted, all of these things. So they ignore it. And I think, and they will likely, a lot of people will continue to ignore it until unless it maybe if it goes to trial and mainstream media starts picking it up, because he was he obviously was the chairman and co-founder, or he was involved in WWE for so long. People know him just in the way that they know Hulk Hogan. They know Vince McMahon's name. Mm-hmm. I think if mainstream media picks it up and carries it, and especially if it goes to trial and they have to cover it, then people will start to know. Because I feel like I think you're right. I think there are a good chunk of fans who no clue. They don't know where Brock Lesnar. They don't know why Brock Lesnar hasn't been seen since SummerSlam of 2023 when Cody defeated him. They don't.
I feel like too that some people, like, it was covered by the Wall Street Journal. Like, it only made any news at all because like the Wall Street Journal covered it and Ashley Banfield covered it. And like, so a couple of mainstream outlets picked up the bigger stories about Vince effing with the markets and doing that. And when those things were around would have been the best time. But because they didn't carry that on after that, it was over. So unless you are in as deep as all of us nerds are.
Well, and also you have like the SDNY, because it's in the SDNY court, which is one of the biggest courts that it could be in. But they also they were dealing with a Harvey Weinstein trial, and then it had to go back because there's the technicality and all that crap. So they had to redo stuff with that. Then they're also over the Diddy trial, and we saw how that turned out. And Diddy is currently awaiting sentencing. I believe that happens in October. They were in the Senator Bob Melendez trial. They were involved in that. So they have a very huge caseload, and Vince is just one of them. But Vince McMahon also has ties to the White House. His wife.
Well, and there's been defunding of very specific core outlets in this nation, as well as defunding of branches of the FBI. I was reading in the Atlantic, the Atlantic. I was reading a whole article about how FBI officials are very concerned because of the cuts that are going down with that. Then that just puts that's a whole other thing, because that's bad on so many levels. That's bad for cybercrime. That's bad for property, or for like consumer scams, which are everywhere right now. Like, but it's certainly going to mean that things like this start to fall by the wayside, because prioritizing is going to become, it's going to be all funding. When you stop being able to pay people, you stop being enough. All these government agencies have been underfunded for decades as it is.
Right.
So you're going to have even less people to work on these things. And WWE fans are, unfortunately, they tend to be like a lot of normies, where they like what they like and they want their palatable thing, and they don't want to hear about the external stuff, and they don't really care about it. And maybe they caught wind of Vince being accused of something here or there, but in the end of the day, they just want to watch their wrestling and not be bothered by it. And
that's
because the world is scary right now.
They are counting on regular fans who are not super online and in the know to not care, because that's who they think is gonna buy their tickets and stuff like that. And so Brad, I want to bring I didn't see this until now. Brad said that he believes Ryan Fredericks has said that UFC isn't doing anything with Brock. They don't care about him. I get that sentiment, but also considering they are both together under TKO, I would not be surprised at all if Brock Lesnar, they do start. I hope it's true, but I would not.
Ryan usually has a good. No,
I was like, I don't put anything past WWE.
Oh no, I wouldn't be surprised. I don't think he would be either.
Dead on, but it's crazy.
True.
Yes.
That's the thing there too. It's like a lot of people have been giving out to AEW about like, there's all these old wrestlers on your thingy. You literally just bought another guy over 50 out here for a pop and for a week in the middle of what should be your major storyline.
Right.
And then when
the story should be that Cody Rhodes won the title.
When it got, that's actually true. It really should be.
Somebody pointed out he's finished his story for the second time, and nobody cares because it got overshadowed. But why did it get overshadowed? Because a lot of people do know about this. I mean, granted,
enough people knew to overshadow it. So
but it's overshadowed.
I guess it's a good thing that there's some progress in the direction of enough people knowing about it. Like, every time this happens, I guess a couple more people know about it. Sadly, there are a lot of people on there that just don't. They will tie themselves in knots to not believe it or to defend their thing because they just can't manage. It's just too much. It's too heavy.
Yeah. Right. And this is not about Brock being too old. I'm not saying he's going to compete. I'm saying that they're going to start showing his matches and start promoting his old stuff and bringing him out and parading him around. And then eventually putting him
Probably
in
hates
the
him
Hall
because
of
that's
Fame.
too much
That's
ego for one
Yeah,
room.
this is not about him competing. This is about if they are going to, because WWE is their partner and WWE is the other half of TKO, that they will do WWE a solid. But yeah, I mean, Dana White does hate Brock. So there are, Ryan could
That's
be
because that's
he
too
could
much
be-
ego for one room.
Right. Brock could definitely, maybe Ryan Fredericks is right. They don't do anything for him. But would I be surprised if he gets inducted into the UFC Hall of Fame and that they start parading him around at shows? No.
I guess it depends on who it's up to.
Yeah. Well, but there are lots of friends with Nick. I'm sure Nick Khan is a pretty persuasive person, it seems like.
He's making a lot of money for his shareholders.
Yeah, Brad said 40-something Cena passed on the torch to 40-year-old Cody. I don't believe, is Cody 40 yet? I think he's not quite 40. I think he's like, not that it, but I get your point. I think Brock, I don't think he's quite 40. Who's going to feud with 50-year-old Brock? Yeah.
But Cody seems like he's really over with WWE fans.
He is. He's hugely over. He's one of their most over people in.
He seems like one of the biggest stars over there right now.
He is. He's a huge star. He has a
that should be their focus.
He has a podcast there. He's got his own vodka that sponsors pay-per-views, and they sponsor segments. He's doing all of the WWE things over there, and so he's
called I Cured Racism.
He's one of the top merch sellers. Like, he's hugely over. And if you think he's over here, then you should see the man when they go to Europe. They couldn't start matches on time or promos because they would sing his song for literally like 5 minutes.
So what the F do they need Brock for?
For ESPN. And to parade him around for the people who think that this company is deplorable.
It's just gross. It's just kind of just entirely gross.
It is very gross. I will knock on wood. I am manifesting a better paying job so that I don't have to cover WWE anymore. True because story. I want to be. I was done with them. I will lean on that. Before. I only started watching it again because that was the position needed help with coverage for those two shows. But I will. I didn't.
To keep.
I would not. I would like to not consume their product anymore. And the only reason I do is because I'm paid for it, and luckily I do work for a website who generally lets me say what I want to say. I mean, obviously within reason, but they let me remind people that Stephanie McMahon is corporate officer number 3, and they're parading her around out there. They let me remind people that Triple H says that Paul Levesque hates being on TV, but he finds any way to get on TV whenever he can. And they let me talk about a racist man being booed out of a building, and they let me talk about Brock's return on Sunday. So luckily, I am thankful for that, and I love my colleagues there. They're all great people. And so that I wouldn't be leaving because of them. Maybe it changes and I can just do other coverage. I mean, because I do collision coverage, obviously, and help with pay-per-view coverage. But if I can get to a point where I don't have to consume that product anymore, listen, this is not whataboutism. I know that Mike Tyson was there. I talked about it.
Yeah, we called them out for it pretty hard.
We're not playing this whataboutism bullshit. Because I've been very against Darby Allin being a champion because he was named and speaking out. I will stand on that stuff. So this is not whataboutism, but this episode specifically is about Brock Lesnar. So let's not do that here. Please don't compare me to him.
No. She's very responsible.
Stop. I did see Brad brought this up way back in the comments, but I did see some people who decided to give AEW a shot this week. I don't know if it was necessarily just related to Brock. The one person I didn't go back far enough in her comment, so maybe it is, maybe it is related to Brock. But also, she was pissed about the $30 a month to watch pay-per-views. And so she decided Wednesday she was going to give Dynamite a try. And people were like, she's like, well, AEW fans have been really nice to me. And so she's like, I'm going to be asking questions. Please be nice. And so people were like asking. She was like, talking about Darby. We just talked about Darby kidnap, or well, not kidnap, because you can't kidnap an adult. He abducted Wheeler Yuta, puts him in a body bag, and she was like this just happened, and people are like, oh no, it's a regular Wednesday night. This is just what happens here. It happens
around here.
She's asking questions like, she asked why, because she watched Collision for the first time last night, so she was like, well, why do they come out with cardboards cutouts talking about Juice and Austin coming out with those? Some people explained to her about that, and then she's just been asking just questions. And if anyone happens to know of a video or an article that has the lore of the Don Callis family, like from beginning to end, that explains the story of them, please direct me to it, because I asked her what she thought. Mainly I was asking about the artwork that Mel that Mel Coleman did, because I did not think anything could top the picture with Kenny Omega and Don Callis.
Oh man,
she just went above and beyond. As Nikki said, she said, hold my beer, let me bring you this artwork. I can top myself. Don't ask me if I can top myself, because I'm gonna. And last night also, somebody in Collision had it during, Kyle was over by the crowd, and somebody had a stick figure drawing of the painting, and it was amazing. And I'm pretty sure Kyle saw it because they held it up when he was over there. But so anyway, I was asking her, like, what did you think about it? And she's like, well, I'm new and I don't know anything about them, so I wasn't really moved. Which I get. And I told her, I was like, Don Callis is despicable. The fans let him know every week they hate him. There's like 9 members, and then I forgot about Rocky, so there's 10 members currently. And I was trying to go back and find like anything that had like a video about their story and how they started. And so like I found like one of their first promos they cut. It was after Wrestle Dream 2023, and that point, and I had even forgotten that Sammy Guevara and Will Hobbs were part of the Don Callis family in the beginning. And the whole reason Don Callis started this was to protect Takeshita. He didn't want Takeshita is the golden boy. He doesn't want any after. And then obviously he turned on Kenny. He's whole thing.
Alpha.
Right. And so now it's like evolved into all this. And, we talk about how like Mark Davis is in the Don Callis family because he was forced to, because Don told him if he wanted to stay employed with AEW, he had to work for the Don Callis family and be a part of that and do what he said. And so like, and hopefully Mark Davis' foot is healing well and he'll be back soon. And then Rocky is over with Takeshita in Japan for the G1. And so I can't find, so I was looking for like a video that somebody had put together of their lore, and I can't find anything. I could just find things here and there, and I don't want to make her watch 50 videos on it. Because she said if I did find it, please send it. She's open to watching videos to learn about things. If anybody knows anything about the Don Callis family, who, yes, is a very sketchy guy. And there are some things that there's some stuff involving him and TNA. And that's why he is no longer.
Oh, he's definitely
because of an investigation that happened.
He's a carny.
He was accused of some things with a female talent at TNA, and he's no longer at that company. While he's in AEW, as much as they are not the same as far as Tony and Vince go, billionaires are not your friend. Don't forget that. They are not your friends.
We're watching this stuff. It's built to make money. At the end of the day, whether we like it or not, and in this, listen, there's no ethical consumption under capitalism. No. Okay. So.
Is there anybody that's not sketching in wrestling anymore?
That's what I'm saying. Is there anybody that's not sketchy? You can almost end that sentence. It really stinks that mostly what is happening is that these billionaires are pitting us against each other when we all really, at the end of the day, if we just had a conversation, we really all want a lot of the same crap.
Fair. Yeah, they know what they're doing. They're dividing people.
This is very, 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 like, what corporations, whether it's WWE or just your average social media platforms, they're using literal behavioral science to do this to us. Like, it's really ugly. One of the reasons I actually signed up for The Atlantic is because they have a bunch of reporters on their staff, including Jonathan Haidt, who wrote The Anxious Generation, which is a really great book for just about anybody to understand, like, why kids are the way they are. But it's also really good because you start to understand how much social media and the tech era and the way it's been in the 21st century has really it's destroyed children's abilities to like have risk, like do the things that they need to do, but it's also really made adult discourse mush too.
Right. Yeah.
And it's
right.
We can have a conversation, except that when you get on the TVs or you get on the social medias, all of a sudden you're not having a conversation. It's a bunch of people yelling talking points back and forth at each other. And a lot of it is just stuff that's been repackaged and repurposed for them by somebody else that, again, they get their marching orders on Monday and they all stick to the script for the week.
Yeah. And Daza says Anxious Generation was our book of the month earlier this year.
It's if you're a parent, I mean, obviously it's a great, my sister has been dealing with a lot of the stuff that's covered in that book, and I've just been pushing her very hard. But also John recommended it to me, and it was very, very, very telling. And he and his colleagues work very hard on doing, not just talking about it for kids, because it's really hurting our kids. It's not good for their mental health at all. It's pretty much a mental health crisis.
It is.
It's not pretty much, it is a mental health crisis.
Yeah.
And we really need to focus on those things. But also what it's done to us is the reason that it's done it to them in a lot of ways. And so their mental health problems aren't just the social media. They're the way that social media is also affecting the adults in their life and the way that they see adult behavior. I mean, look around at the leadership and look at the people that are, again, like, it's pretty scary being a parent having my kids look up to Brock Lesnar. Like, that's where
and then there's and you've got the Andrew Tates who are reaching younger.
Well, that's my point. Is that that's our culture. That is not just exclusive to wrestling.
No.
Sadly, the people that people are looking to for leadership, they're not the greatest examples of how you want to go out and act like a human.
Right. Well, and then you have, speaking of Andrew Tate, you have Ricochet when he was first starting this heel stuff, retweeting him. But people had said that even prior to him being heel, that he may have been retweeting some Andrew Tate stuff. So it's seeping into all kinds of things. And it's just, it's gross and it's unfortunate.
Very gross.
Here we are, and it's a lot of the ways that perpetuate the things that are happening in wrestling. And you and I often talk about how wrestling is a mirror of real life, and we're seeing it not only with on-screen characters, but the people who run this company.
That legitimately, and I'm not even kidding, it didn't. It wasn't unexpected, but I was legitimately bummed out this week. Like, I felt bummed out about all these victims that are out there and all these people that we've been talking about and all this stuff that this is like another, I've seen, like, I've talked to you and BJ about this before with Monica Lewinsky and Anita Hill and all of the, but like, it's just another big F you to women. It's just another great big, and
that's what I was talking about. I had said on one of my social media platforms earlier this week that, like, it is hard being a somebody who reports on wrestling and just being a wrestling fan in general as a woman is really hard. And then just being a woman in 2025 is hard when you have a government who doesn't want you to vote. They don't they don't believe that you should vote, that you should have reproductive rights, that you should have bodily autonomy. They want you to stay home. They don't think you should have jobs. And it's coming more and more mainstream. And then you have wrestling kind of reflecting that again. And it is, and then that's even for, and of course it's hard for women, but then there are people in marginalized communities that it is affecting as well. And not to say that it's not affecting men, because obviously some of the men who do not subscribe to those
in
thoughts.
the WWE ring boy situation, that's young men. That's
right. Those are underage. Some of those kids were as young as 11.
I know.
When this abuse started. They were 11 and 12 years old. Some were older, 16, 17. But by then, for some predators, like, that's too old. So they go for the younger ones because they're easier to manipulate.
It's just horrible. It's too much. It felt like too much, and I felt terrible for I felt terrible for Janelle, and I felt terrible for anybody that was re-traumatized by it. And it just, I mean, and
I felt really bad for the women in that are employed by that company, because how can you go to work and trust anybody when your bosses made the decision to do what they did and then went around gloating about it on platforms? How do you trust Paul Heyman after what he said? How do you not at least side-eye Cody Rhodes? Maybe, sure, you can go with, well, he's the top guy. He's got to make certain comments that will make the company look good. But, like, how do you feel comfortable being well, first of all, I mean, I just don't know how you feel comfortable being an employee, but for sure after this week, like, I don't see how you're a woman, especially not just in the office, because clearly this was happening in the office. Janelle Grant was not a wrestler. She worked in an office. She was an employee of the corporate headquarters. Right. And so, like, so of course there's that, but, like, how do you go to work on Monday when and everybody's praising Brock Lesnar on TV, and they're praising all of these things, and they are making it look like you can't say anything, which is how these things, obviously how they work and how they've gotten away with things for so long, is because you can't, there's the fear that's there. But I just don't see how you come to work on Monday or Tuesday or Friday and hear the way that they are talking about Brock Lesnar and feel that this is a safe space for you.
It's like it's the infinite meme, the evergreen meme of, why don't women speak out? Why don't women come forward?
Mm-hmm. Well, this is why.
Because this
is why. And yeah, it's just it's been a
week.
It has been a week. It's been it's just, it's been a week, and it's been a lot. And so then, and I hated, on the one hand, like, I hated dedicating most of the show to it, but on the other hand, like, this is the case that we've been following since day one, and this is a pretty big deal for WWE to feel comfortable enough, for whatever reason, to put this man back on TV.
Yeah.
And then just continue to play in our faces about what's going on. They're praising him. They're having Paul Heyman say he's not going to cancel him and comparing him to Jesus, which is, like, just the audacity.
Oh, Paul Heyman.
And I just outdo yourself every time. And he's just going to say the things that he says, but it feels like they are also just in your face telling you that they don't give a damn about you as a woman. They don't. And I just feel like this is very unfortunate. Yeah. And it's, I can imagine. I Mike Beat said that it's wild how angry people have gotten. I mean, just for calling this out, wild insecure defensiveness really says a lot. It does. And I've seen a lot of it, not just in my own mentions, but just other people who are saying anything.
Oh, there's a lot of ridiculous nonsense.
And then I said, like, I have people questioning me as a woman because I got the statement out before other people did. And so I couldn't possibly be correct because maybe they've never heard of me before or didn't realize that I've been covering. And that's what I told that person. I was like, I got the statement because I've been covering this since day one. I have the same contact that Fightful has. I have the same contact that BJ has. I have the same contact that Brandon Thurston has because I've been covering it. I have it, but it was just, I was like, yeah, this is just just a general picture of what we're seeing. Like now they're questioning Janelle and what she says in her lawsuit, and they're questioning me as a woman because I got the statement first that I couldn't possibly have an official statement first.
Of course.
It was just like, and then you have, like it was just, and of course they had to go to two men to confirm that my statement that I posted. I'm like, where am I going to get this? I mean, I guess maybe they thought I went to ChatGPT and was like, write me a statement.
Well, that's what I guess is going around. So
yeah. Oh gosh, I'm sorry, I make beats that you are having to deal with this too, or anybody. It's just, I hate it. I
get called a nerd all the time. Yeah, I actually take
but
that
there's
as a
sometimes
compliment.
when nerds is endearing. So in this case, you're not.
I take nerd as a very endearing thing. I just don't listen to people on the internet because they're largely dumbasses. And it's a really weird world we've created on social media, and there's like a whole segment of the population that doesn't understand that an even larger segment of the population does not spend a large part of their time on social media and has no idea what's going on social media.
Right.
Like,
yeah. And I get so there are the arguments that the internet is not real, but on the other hand, there are lots of cases that it is.
Yeah, except that we have a guy in charge that uses it too much.
People are harassed on these, to the point where they are taking
death
their own
threats.
lives. So yes, or there are people who make genuine connections with people on the internet. And I've had a lot of experience with meeting a lot of wonderful people on the internet that I consider friends. There are people that we met through Braves Twitter and we exchange Christmas cards every year. Or we met up at a game, at a Braves game, or we have done, and so some of them have been taken off on, but there are some people that, that I, like when I was dealing with my health issue last year, I wanted to post it on social media because a lot of these people have been following me on Twitter for 10 years and I'm friends with them too. And so it's just, but yes, and in some cases, no, the internet is not real. And we realize that with with the question is from Curryhead is, the regular people who are not online, not knowing what Vince McMahon is being accused of, or not knowing Brock Lesnar's involvement, all of these things. So it is a weird.
It's not like Fox News is covering it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
Oh no, Sean. I mean, I get that, and I know that you're not condoning raising the question, and you're not being disrespectful. But no, I know that I'm not as popular as Sean Ross Sapp. But it's the fact that they went to, and they checked my bio. Like it says that I write for 2 websites. I have I do know what I'm talking, and I get that, but it's also just it came off of very much of dismissive because I was a woman, and they had to go to 2 other men to get that. Then I had another man questioning me because it didn't come from Fightful, so it couldn't possibly. It was the condescending way in which they were responding to me. Which is the way a lot of men respond.
It just tracks with the way that, unfortunately, the people that tend to be.
No, you're right. Yeah, I mean, you're right. There aren't major broadcasting companies that are really covering this. And again, it's because they think wrestling is underneath them. They think that it is. They do not need. It's fake. Why would they? That's why with the steroid trial, that got news, that got mainstream attention, but because Hulk Hogan was involved, he
eventually
testified. Yeah, he testified during that trial. But then that's why because the Ring Boy scandal came up in the 90s and was pushed. FBI was looking into some of this stuff, and these things Phil Bushnick was talking about it, and all of these things. So, but mainstream media didn't want to do anything about it because it's wrestling. And so that's part of the reason it's been able to fester for so long and they've gotten away with it, is because nobody gives a shit. And the mainstream, most of them don't give a shit about wrestling, or they grew out of it. And so they don't care. And then I think that if they get to court, then maybe, there was some mainstream media, as we talked about before, when Ashley Massaro, when that stuff came out, we did have a couple of CNN shows were covering it. So it did get a little bit, but then it died down. which tends to happen in a 24-hour news cycle, especially when you have a person who is the president of this country who is standing on top of the White House roof for no reason, or he's constantly going on Truth Social to talk about how much he hates Taylor Swift, and like he did that again this week.
Wow.
He talked about her because he weighed in on the Sydney Sweeney eugenics,
or telling Washington that they should go back to their old name immediately, and that
right,
kind of stuff.
that he's not going to give funding to the Washington football team to build a new stadium unless they start using their old name, and like,
which is so. That is like, does that not sound like the ramblings of somebody with a deteriorating mind a little bit?
Oh, for me, 100%.
I mean, it's like our whole Congress and government right now is kind of being run by like the late stage of AARP recipient or subscribers at this point.
Yeah. And then, Sean says there was the infamous Donahue interview with the the employee who claimed he was fired. But then it turns out that the guy lied. So then why would they want to believe anybody? Because the guy, it turns out that story ended up not being true. And then you have why would anybody believe a woman now when you have a man in the 90s who did that, and then the story ended up not being correct, and the guy's like disappeared from the face. Like, I had not even heard about that particular story until like a year or two ago from doing this coverage, and I was like, who is this guy? And then they're like, oh, and it turns out that he lied about it, and I was like, great. That's going to do a lot of good for actual victims. Nikki said that the person who was questioning me about who said that, because they tried to say, so the one that asked me if I had the statement from, because they didn't see it from Fightful, then they asked me, they said, well, you're saying that they only sent it to you, then how does Fightful have it? And I said, that's not what I said. I literally said her team sent it to me. I didn't say
they sent me. I asked them for a statement and they sent it to me, and I posted it.
They did not. I did not say they sent it to me only and nobody else. I never said this.
Stop projecting on me with your weird insecurities, internet human.
Said that they did not have reading comprehension skills, and she said they were a child left behind. They were.
Sadly, comprehension is one of the biggest. Lady B likes to point out, media literacy needs to be a seriously addressed situation in this nation, and I think that would help people a lot in even what we're talking about. Comprehension, context, and literacy.
Well, yeah, because like other countries teach kids like how not to fall for propaganda.
Yeah,
and how to teach how to.
No, we embed propaganda in here because buy things.
Right.
Because we have to, because buy things.
Yeah.
Which to which I answer, pay us already. We can't afford anything. Weirdos.
Right.
Yeah.
So I was like, I don't really want to end on this note, but then we'll be here for another forever if we talk about it. Somebody did ask a question about Alex Windsor defeating. She made it to she qualified this week for the 4-way match that's happening at Forbidden Door, because they remembered like, hey, this is a co-branded pay-per-view, and some people would actually like to see New Japan and Stardom talent on this. Let's do this. Let's put. So I thought, I wasn't surprised because Alex is she's from London, obviously, or she's from England. She's very well established in that scene. Mercedes beat her to become the Rev Pro champion. So that title that she has was Alex Windsor. Right. So it makes sense that Alex, because I saw people upset that Aminata didn't win, which that I'm a huge Aminata fan, but for this Forbidden Door show, I figured that it was either going to be Alex or it was going to be, who was in that match? It was Tekla. That was Tekla, Alex Windsor.
It was Julia Hart, and
there was one more. It was Queen Aminata. I don't think it was Julia. Julia came in the beatdown afterwards, but I figured that it would be. Alex made the most sense because of because of where Forbidden Door is. But I don't see her probably. Was it Sky? I was trying to remember because Sky was involved. I thought it was just Tech. Oh, it was because Sky had the unfortunate botch spot with Queen Aminata.
Yes, she did. That's right.
Other than that spot, it was okay. Thank you. It was Billy Queen. That's right. Because I was like, Billy also made sense because Billy is Athena's minion.
Right, minion.
She wrestles in Japan and she's wrestled in the. Yes, thank you. I forgot. I was like, wait a minute. But yes, that had the unfortunate. Other than that botch that Sky Blue had, that match was really great. That Fatal 4-Way was really, really good. I really enjoyed that match. The women killed it. Queen Aminata is incredible. I would love to see her belted at some point. And she is under contract, I think, for like she's under contract for like 3 years, I saw. And then it came out yesterday. Kyle Fletcher signed a big extension, getting well paid. Figures to be very prominent in what they're doing, which is smart because Kyle Fletcher has had his last year and a half has been incredible. And if most of you know that Mel and I love Aussie Open. So on the one hand, I hate it because the tag team division desperately needs an Aussie Open, and I love Mark Davis too. But also Kyle Fletcher has made it where you cannot ignore what he's doing, and you need to strap a rocket to him while you can, and they are. Because that TNT match we talked about with Dustin was great. His match last night with Ishii. Lucha Vlog said it was that he was going to have a G1 match whether he's in the G1 or not, and he did have a G1 match last night. That match was incredible. Fletcher then called out someone, and my original response, like immediate response, was Shingo, and then I was like, well, G1's not over until I think it's the 18th, which is like a week before, but then Don Callis. So I was confused. And then my other thought was, Nikki and I were joking, and I was like, what if it's Takeshita? Because Takeshita is signed with New Japan, and he technically is, you could consider him the best wrestler in New Japan because he is contracted by them as well. And so, and Brad, I think, also made that comment. I don't think it's going to be Takeshita, but then Don Callis comes out, and he was talking about on Wednesday that somebody's coming. So I was like, so is the person challenging for Forbidden Door coming on Wednesday, or is he issuing an open challenge to someone else from New Japan on Wednesday, and then after that we'll find him? Because I went back and listened to his promo, and I was still confused. I was like, so is the person that he's facing coming on Wednesday? Because then it would not be Shingo, because G1 is not over, right? When is the date? What is?
I can't remember. I'm like so.
Wednesday is so today is the 10th. Yeah, Wednesday's like the 13th. So
the only thing I know is that they're having the four. They put it on the wrong graphic, but they're having a four-way match to challenge Zack Sabre Jr.
for the title
or the IWGP Heavyweight Championship at Forbidden Door. So
yes, right. The match is on Collision.
They said that it was on Collision. They said it was. Tony Schiavone said it was on Dynamite. The graphic said Collision. I'm pretty sure it's on Dynamite.
I think it's on Collision because all those are Collision. I think it is on Collision because
so they're gonna wait till next Saturday to do that.
Yeah, I think so, because the Collision. I thought, I mean, maybe it is Dynamite, but I thought it was going to be on Collision because the graphics said it. But I thought because Daniel Garcia is well, I guess it doesn't matter now because he's not a champion, but he typically wrestles on Collision, and so does Lee Moriarty when he's not in AEW or in ROH typically. But I mean, maybe they do it on Dynamite.
Tony Schiavone said Dynamite, but the
graphic
said Collision.
But then I thought later he corrected himself, and I thought he said Collision.
Oh, okay.
But I'm not 100% positive. But regardless, your winner is Nigel McGuinness. You don't put Nigel in that match.
It seems like that is the most logical answer.
You don't put Nigel McGuinness. No, is the Collision? Oh, you know what? Maybe so, because Wednesday Dynamite is in Cincinnati. So I can't remember when they go to the UK, Brad. Maybe it is Collision. No, because I think Collision's still at 8 o'clock
before.
I think Collision is still Saturday night. At 8 o'clock. Is that its regular time? It's not early. So I think Mel's right. I think it's the following week. Because I know for sure they're in Cincinnati because Jon Moxley is wrestling Kevin Knight in his hometown. And so
that makes sense.
But regardless, I think that you don't put. I mean, Lucha Blog made the point that Hechicero and Zach said they wanted to run it back somewhere else. So London is a good place. But you don't put Nigel McGuinness in this match to have him lose.
Yeah, it seems pretty
we
random.
We got the tease at Forbidden Door last year. Obviously, they faced off when Nigel was an entrant into the Gauntlet match last year. We did get a little bit of him and Zach, so I feel like Zach is like, oh no, we're getting a full, I want this for real. Nigel wants this for real. He can wrestle. Like, I would not say no to Hechicero versus Zach, because anytime I have seen them, they are incredible together. I've never seen a bad match between the two of them. They even wrestled this year during Mania week, had a really great match. But I just think I don't think you put Nigel McGuinness in that match to have him lose. But it also makes sense because they call it the technical spectacle is what Nigel was calling it. And Lee Moriarty broke Nigel McGuinness's record to become the longest reigning pure champion at, keep wanting to say Death Before Dishonor because that's next, at Supercard. So you also have that getting factored into it. And yes, they are going to do a Global Wars event. Okay, the Friday before Forbidden Door with ROH CML. Yes, CMLL, New Japan, and Ref Pro, which is going to be awesome. I can't wait. And Michael Oku tweeted about it. So we know that. And Tony has said we will see more of Michael Oku in ROH and AEW. He did drop his title several weeks ago. Feels like a All Elite graphic is coming for him sooner rather than later.
I can't say that I would be surprised.
Yeah, and Nigel versus the ZSJ in the UK is magical, and it's for the IWGP title on top of that, which is
so much fun.
Yeah, I think Nigel. I will not, like I said, I would not be mad at Hechicero winning that, but I don't think I saw that graphic and I was like, oh, Nigel's winning.
Yeah, it would seem most logical to me too.
Yeah. So yeah, it's got there. I'm excited for Forbidden Door. I wish there were more AEW versus New Japan people, and I wish more of that was happening, but it is what it is, and the card looks great. I do think we're getting, Brad's correct. That's the only Brit versus Brit match in that the UK fans would be okay with. You are correct about that. And then we'll have, and then by then we'll know who is facing Hurt Syndicate. We because their the last tournament matches Wednesday, and so I hope that it's Brodito, because even though I'm still annoyed that a real tag team was not in there when you have GYV, especially going into London. You would think GYV would make perfect sense to put on that show. Maybe GYV will be on 0 Hour, because they tend to put all the British wrestlers on the British shows. They found that they had Anthony Ogogo on the pre-show. They put Kip Sabian on the pre-show. Yeah. They found a way to make it happen. But I would love to see them. I think Brodito versus Hurt Business would be, our Hurt Syndicate would be a lot of fun, because just because of their styles, especially with Brody and Bandito, because who knew? Yeah. Who knew that we needed them as a tag team?
Kind of fun.
They're so much fun. I don't want, I really don't want FTR. I don't want them to do the title thing where they win it for a month, and then that was alleged that Hurt Business doesn't want to drop the titles to FTR. Who knows if that's actually true? I hope it's true, because I don't want them to have those titles. And I think dropping it to FTR for a month just so they can lose it to Cope and Christian and at All Out is dumb. Would I be surprised if it happens? No. But Mel was correct. She was like, I think this might be what they're doing. And I was like, probably right, Mel.
I mean, it sadly is one of these times. I mean, maybe but with all the shenanigans, especially going on with Hurt Syndicate in the back, I think that also is going to probably end up being true, because.
Well, they did do, MVP did post the video after the show where he walked up to Speedball and said, fuck you, Speedball, and said, fuck you too. And then he said, say it, boys. And because it was alleged also that Bobby Lashley and Shelton Benjamin basically do whatever MVP tells them to do, and so they drop their heads and were like, fuck you, Speedball. So like they hit on all the rumors in that one video.
But they're all pretty smart.
They are pretty smart, but it has also been alleged that it was well known in the locker room that MVP didn't like Speedball. So maybe they're just playing into it. Maybe they really don't like him.
No, it seemed like it was known.
Because it seemed like it was known. I had heard from somebody else that they had heard it too. I feel like disliking Speedball says a lot about you as a person.
Yeah,
but
especially when everybody,
like, you're not going to get along with all your coworkers, clearly.
Well,
but I just feel like Speedball is one of those people. Like, if you don't like Speedball, then that sounds like a you problem.
Well, I kind of heard too is like everybody likes Speedball. Like they're the exception. It's like
right. And then also, I think that when it becomes an issue, because fine, if you don't like your coworker, fine, happens all the time. But if you are causing them to do a segment where they get beat down and people are in our replies asking why did they make them look dumb, and it's because one of the people of that group dislikes them and is causing that, then that's when it becomes an issue. Yeah. And that was my whole take on it, was like, if any of it is true, if he is the reason that they got beat down and made to look like dummies, then that's a problem.
It's a huge problem.
If of course any of that is true.
If that's true. Which, like you said, it is Tony's call at the end of the day, and they could just be leaning into. My favorite thing that everyone that we can't leave to this week without pointing out, because it was the one thing that did pop me in an otherwise murky week, was when Generation Me was announced as All Elite this week.
Brad had it. Brad asked about that. That was probably the highlight of Dynamite for me, was seeing Max and Jeremy. It made me laugh because I've mentioned it before.
Max and Jeremy, that's what it was.
I am currently reading their book. I haven't been able to read it like a week and a half because there's been some intense real life things happening. Yeah. So I have not had the chance to escape into reading. But they just signed with TNA. And I was telling someone, because somebody was saying that they were a fan of theirs in TNA, and I was saying that at the time, I was not a fan of theirs because I thought they were ripping off the Hardy Boys, and they were trying to get famous or get popular because they were stealing the Hardy Boys gimmick. So I hated Generation Me. I couldn't stand them. They were wrestling, and of course, they're having great matches with Motor City. Stuff like I hated them. And then I did not become a fan of theirs until they were in ROH, and I started seeing them, and then I finally got around to watching BTE, and then I slowly came around to them. But when they came to PWX, and I was not a fan of theirs at the time, and I did not care. I was like, I was at the show, which ended up being great because our friend Matthew, who is he came to PWX for the first time because of the Young Bucks coming, and then Matthew has now we are good friends, and he's our friend group built. So we do have the Young Bucks to thank for that. In part, he came. So
silver lining.
But I love the Young. Now I have been a fan of theirs since I finally got on board with them. I think that they are truly two of the most intelligent people in wrestling, other than what they can do in the ring. Clearly, they're very good wrestlers, but just their minds for the business and their character work is just phenomenal.
And how much they are such nerds about this.
Yeah.
They just love it so much, and it makes them so creative, and they're so interesting together and with their family. And I'm glad you guys are reading that, because I knew you would really love it, and you would see like what I kept saying about the EVP gimmick. It was like, I'm going to stick with this because they always know what they're doing. And now that they're going through all this stuff, it makes the EVP gimmick seem downright brilliant. They're having to start all over again. They're going to have
and I love the talent name
and then with people again. They're going back to being their worst. That just killed me. I loved that graphic.
The talent name, and then I loved that Justin Roberts,
because they hated that
word for word as verbatim, like they said, like they cornered Charlie in the back, and they're like, hand this to Justin, tell him to read it verbatim. So Justin literally reads it verbatim, and it's just perfect. And then they pop up Max and Jeremy, and somebody on commentary called them, because then the fans chanted jobber at them, and there's somebody holding a sign. This is Matt and Nick are jobbers. And Taz is like, don't use that word. And Taz is like, then somebody, I think Excalibur said Max and Jeremy, and he's like, that's not their names, don't call them that. And Excalibur was like, listen, they abused their EVP titles for a really long time and were really mean to people. So basically it's what they deserve. And it was just it was great. I haven't had a chance to read the interview. They did an interview with, I think it was Sports Illustrated last week, and I saw one of the quotes of them talking about this character and their kids, and I think it was their mom, are like, why are you doing this? Like, fan, like, I don't get why. And they're like, because we're poking fun at ourselves, and like, it's funny. And so I want to go back and read the full interview with them, because I really enjoy what they do, and I think that they're hugely, even as, which is dumb for how divisive they are, they should not be, because they're just trying to make wrestling better. But they are,
people fear change, and
but
now we're living in
they've been doing this for how long?
I know, but there's some curmudgeons. They're just never gonna let it go. They're gonna hang on to that stuff until it rots away with them.
Yeah, and Sean makes a good point. It was like a BTE skit. It was like a BTE.
It really was,
and I think that was part of the reason I loved it so much, because
that popped me so hard. I thought it was like BTE, because it took me a half second, and then I saw it and was like, "Oh my god, oh my god!"
Yeah, Nikki was pet sitting. And so we were both watching it, but the TVs clearly were like, just like, I think she ended up being like 2 minutes ahead of me. Like, we figured it out with something else. And she just tweeted, all she did, she texted me was, "Oh my God." And she was like, "Wait for it." So I'm like waiting, and I was like, "Oh, look at the pyro. Haha. The pyro's funny. It just the one shoots off." Then then Max and Jerry popped up, and I was like, and I literally said to my TV, "Oh my God." And I loved it. It was great.
It's amazing. I'm very impressed with this. I'm enjoying this a great deal.
Yeah, Nikki said that she didn't like the Young Bucks until she saw them in the ladder match against the Hardys and ROH. God, that match is still one that I talk about all the time. I love that match. And it was before the Hardys went to work for WWE again. And yeah, we watched BTE because we started watching around like episode like 47 or 48 or 50. And then we went back, and I think we watched like the first 2 or 3 episodes. I can't remember. And then we basically, from when we started watching it, like the late 40s, we watched it all the way up until the very end. Like, this is on Mondays at my lunch break. That's what we did. We watched BTE on my lunch.
I got in late. I was like 102 or something is when I actually caught up. And I was like, this is so funny. So I started it over, and I literally caught myself binging them at various times. So I got caught up because they're not terribly long. But oh my God, I got caught up like embarrassingly fast because they were just killing me, and they would make just the stupid jokes with the candy bars. That is my
that bit annoyed me after a while. I was like, okay, it's not funny anymore. But yes, that bit was really, because that's the Scorpio Sky stuff that they were doing with him. And
he would just like Payday.
Yes.
Just, I mean, some of it was just so, or when Hangman's boots were haunting him.
Yeah. Yes. And then they had the Hangman was like
the brass ring
stuff, and then there's the chili sponsorship and how they're going to spend their money.
Colt Cabana getting turned into a banana.
And then there's like the Halloween episodes that they did. They did one that was the Halloween one that they did on the Jericho cruise ship. It was why can't I think of it? It's the horror film where they are all connected to each other. Why am I forgetting the name of this movie? It was a really big horror movie a few years ago, and the whole thing was them mocking that movie, and they were attached. Basically, if somebody eats, then it comes out of obviously their rear end, goes into the next person's mouth. That's what the horror movie was. And so they did that. That was the whole bit that they did. And I'm so annoyed that I can't think of the name of that movie. Because it was like, that was one of the bigger Halloween episodes that they did. It was, and Jay Lethal had the split personalities. Cody had the stuff where he had the shakes about going to WWE, and he was the other personality. And then you had Cody and his "It's Britney bit" or "It's Cody bitch." That he made the shirt, and he was like, "quote."
Remember Kenny and the Bucks going to Vegas to see Backstreet Boys was one of the greatest episodes ever.
We finally got Master P. Yes, he did have the money shakes, and then they were doing Nick was doing the Chris Angel bits for anytime they had new merch. Then they had they killed Adam Cole.
Oh, that's right. They killed Adam Cole.
They killed Adam Cole so that he could go to WWE. So they killed him with a monster drink. Yes, fuck the revival. I still call them that. Still, we'll type our FTRR because that's what they would write, and then there's course for that. I miss BTE. Yes, thank you. Yes, it's Human Centipede. Thank you. I could not. It was.
Well, it's not a horror movie. It's a YouTube viral video.
No, it's a movie. It's a horror film.
Someone made a movie out of this crap. Really?
Yeah, Human Centipede was out
literally.
It was a movie. Several years ago.
Okay.
There's two of them. I believe they had a sequel. So, thank you. Nope, there's 3 of them. Thank you. I make beats. So yeah, there were movies based off of that. So they did a Halloween episode.
Of course, there.
So they made the Halloween episode based off of the first movie, and then they also did.
No.
It was hard to watch. It was hard to kind of because Nikki and I didn't ever watch Squid Game because there was like a million things on and we just never got to it. But they did Squid Game episodes.
Why do you guys know this? I'm a little weirded out with you all right now.
Yeah, I knew there was a first one and I never saw it. But I knew
group right here. How do you know?
Because people were talking, because that scene or like that concept became like people were talking about it all the time. I've never seen it, but that's how I knew what it was. And then I knew when the Elite did it, I understood the reference because
the 21st century is a wild, wild time.
Yes. Yeah. We did talk about USVA guy asked what we thought about the match. I feel like I don't want to say this to be mean, but if you think there's a lack of star power in that match to face Zach, it's for people who don't watch the product. Because the Lee Moriarty, which we talked about, you may have missed this, Lee Moriarty is the current ROH Pure Champion. He has surpassed Nigel McGuinness as the longest reigning ROH Pure Champion. He surpassed Nigel McGuinness to become that. Nigel McGuinness is Nigel McGuinness. There's no question that's not a lot. And then Daniel Garcia was their TNT champion up until a few weeks ago. So I don't think you can say that's a lack of star power. I feel like if you say that, it's because you don't watch AEW and you're not familiar. And I don't mean that to be mean or anything like that. But I think that if someone is saying that's a lack of star power is because they are not watching. And Hechicero is one of Zach's biggest rivals. Which we were just talking about. Him and Zach have been having 5-star matches every time they get in the ring together, and so I think that is I would highly disagree with that statement. And yes, it's clear that Nigel McGuinness is going to win, but he doesn't wrestle often, so I do think that's why it's a 4-way because they've got to get Nigel back in the ring because he hasn't wrestled since last year. It's clear that Nigel's going to win. I feel like Zach probably asked for this match. I feel like Nigel asked for this match. And after they had the little bit that we saw of Forbidden Door, I'm sure they probably both went to Tony and Ghetto and be like, we would like to face each other in a full match and please make it happen. Maybe it's not the greatest way to get there, but I feel like, and I feel like I feel like New Japan fans, and I say this as a New Japan fan, often get mad at anything that AEW does. Sometimes rightfully so. I 100%. Sometimes, especially as a New Japan fan, I would agree. But I feel like sometimes they just, regardless of anything that AEW does, there are a certain group of New Japan fans who will be mad regardless of what happens. Which that happens in AEW. You have AEW fans who are the same way. And again, I say that as a New Japan fan, as somebody who loves New Japan very much. But I just feel like, to me, I feel like it's a lot of, they're just finding things to complain about because they don't like AEW or they don't like Tony Khan or they feel like AEW stole all of their talent when, in fact, New Japan could not afford them for various reasons. A lot of it had to do with the economy. And so they feel like they hate Tony Khan and everything that he does because they feel like he is the reason Okada left and that he personally plucked these people when in some cases these people were going to Tony and being like, what can you pay me? Because that's what a business person does. But again, I get the argument, but for me personally, I just feel like that there are a group of people who will complain regardless and be mad regardless. And so, yeah. And Brad says there's a group of New Japan fans who hate Takeshita because he's an AEW guy, ignoring the fact that he has a New Japan contract. Yeah, there are a group of them. And so, and rightfully so. I mean, some people are just very protective of the things they like, and I get it. But I feel like nothing that AEW does, and for some of these people, is going to make them happy in any way. And so you're never going to please them. And regardless, Zach is not losing his title to anybody on this show, whether it's Nigel McGuinness or he could wrestle Bryan Danielson. He's not losing that title to anybody. He wouldn't even lose it to Okada or Omega. Like Zach is going to retain his title. So I can't, what do these fans have to say if Zach personally asked for this match? What if that's what he asked for? So are they mad at Zach for requesting this match because this is a match he wanted? What would they say to that? So I don't know, but that's just how I feel about it. And I'm not speaking for Mel, I'm speaking for myself. So like, I'm just going to make that clear. Mel may disagree with me completely, and that is okay too. I
didn't have a problem with the lineup per se. I thought it was kind of an interesting thing. But I looked at it and pretty much thought Nigel was winning. So it was kind of like.
Yeah. Yeah. So then they would be mad at Zach for that. Then that's on them because nothing is ever going to make them happy. They are going to find everything to be mad at. And that's just how they live their lives.
Some people just need to, it's like you can like more than one thing. It's okay. You're actually allowed to like multiple versions of things.
Don't get me, we've been clear. There are a lot of things that I get annoyed with Tony about all the time. Like, and I've said it to him. I've said things to him that have about my annoyance with certain things. So that is not to be mean to these people or any way or, anything like that. It's not to take away from their feelings on things because I get it. Because I criticize, as much as I love AEW, I criticize them. As much as I love New Japan, I criticize them too. But if Zach asked for a match and you're mad about that, then you need to reevaluate some things. If you're mad about a wrestler getting a dream match that he wants, probably because he never thought he was going to wrestle Nigel. Nigel was never supposed to wrestle again, just like Shibata was never supposed to wrestle again. And so if they're getting these dream matches, then I don't know why you would be mad about that.
But some people just need to be mad.
Yep. And I get it. Garage said DDT regarding Takeshita. Takesha's great, but see the business argument and the politics does speak a little too much in the insecurity, though. I like Takeshita in New Japan full time. I mean, personally, like I love Takeshita, and if anybody is deserving of 3 contracts, I think it is definitely a person of Takeshita's caliber. But I personally would like to see him in New Japan full time myself. And I say that as somebody who watches AEW regularly and doesn't miss a show. I think Takeshita would be better off there, especially when you have Kyle Fletcher doing pretty much the exact same thing that he's doing. And I feel like eventually you're going to have to, who are you going to put over the other one? And they were not booking Takeshita great in the beginning. They were bad at booking Takeshita. Like Takeshita was getting, like all these fans were like, where the hell's Takeshita? Yeah, he was losing like crazy, or they weren't
all the time. Our whole complaint for months was, when is he actually going to win a match?
Right.
He was putting on these bangers, but he was losing every single one of them.
Right. And so, they were booking him terribly. And then the whole reason Don Callis formed, as we talked about a little while ago, was to protect Takeshita. But Kyle has become the bigger star.
I feel like Takeshita would be a good fit there because Kyle is a big star. That would help New Japan, especially with the problems like that the whole economic situation is having. That's a good draw for them. He does really well in New Japan. He wrestles really awesome, and there's some awesome people. I mean, him wrestling Shingo, him wrestling the triplets there.
The match that I wanted the most was Takeshita versus Zach. That when they announced this G1, that was the match that I wanted to see the most, and it over-delivered. Like it was incredible. I mean, I am behind on G1. I haven't watched anything since August the 1st because, as I said, some real life things have taken precedence over that, so that's put us behind. But Takeshita has just been incredible, and like I don't think he's going to win this year. but I'd love to see Takeshita win the G1, but I don't think that happens unless he's in New Japan full time. I don't see that happening. But from what I understand, Takeshita and Yuka make their home here in the US. So I don't know how that plays into things. If that's, I mean, maybe if they decide to go back to Japan full time, then maybe that's a course that they take. But from my understanding, which I could be wrong, but from my understanding, they are both based here in the U.S. And so if they're making a life here, then being a but there are plenty of full time New Japan talent who do, like when Jay White was with New Japan, he lived in the U.S. and wrestled in Japan full time. Zach for a while, not Zach, Will Ospreay continued to live in England while he was wrestling for New Japan. He clearly still lives in England while he works for AEW. So there are some wrestlers who can make it work, but that is also a lot that they have to factor in. But just getting away from like that side of things, I personally would like to see Takeshita in New Japan full time. I think it makes more sense. I think he's a better fit there. I think he should be champion there. I don't think he would win a G1 if he was not going to be there full time. And so I don't think he wins this year. But I mean, he's also in a really rare position. Most people don't get to wrestle for 3 different companies and have full-time contracts with them. And he's kind of a rare case in that sense. But I would just, regardless, I love Takeshita and I will watch him wherever I can get him. So if that continues to be at AEW, then I will never be disappointed about him being in the US. However, I feel like as far as the companies go, like Mel said, he's a draw. I think he's a draw. I guess that would probably be a question for people who are attending the Japanese shows. And I know that the draw has been down, as we mentioned, because of yes, part of it is Naito was not there. Goto is currently not there, but there was also some lacking stuff before then. But also their economy plays a huge effect into whether they're going to shows or not. But I think that Takeshita could be a wrestler. But again, I'm saying that from a Western perspective. I don't know. Maybe Japanese fans feel differently about Takeshita. Maybe they don't see him. Maybe they would not. Maybe he is not somebody they would pay to see in the way that they would pay to see Naito or something like that. So I guess that also plays a big factor into it. And when a USPA guy said that this is the IWGP, the consensus is top title in the industry. The title is bigger than the talent, but still Zach wants us to do it on his own time. That's dumb. I mean, yes, GP, I agree, is the top title in the industry. But if it's the top title in the industry, then why would you not defend it against the very best to prove that you are the very best? Nigel McGuinness, granted, he doesn't wrestle in the way that he has, but Nigel McGuinness is one of the top wrestlers when he was active. So I don't get that argument. That makes the belt better when you are defending it against high caliber opponents. And maybe they don't see that in a Lee Moriarty, but I don't see how you make that argument against Nigel McGuinness or even, and to have him do it on his own time. When does he have time? He's your champion. So it shouldn't be for the belt. To me, that argument does that. And I get that you're explaining this and I'm not directing that at USPA guys specifically. I'm just saying I don't understand that argument when Nigel McGuinness is one of the best wrestlers that has ever wrestled. And to say that, so should he not wrestle Bryan Danielson because of the same thing, to do it on his own time, or to not wrestle Shibata or Kenny Omega because it shouldn't be. I don't understand that argument. You should want your talent to, if that talent is so prestigious, then you want people wanting to compete for that title. I would think. I don't understand that argument at all. And again, I appreciate USVA guy for explaining, because I don't know. Thank you. He said he's not, Takeshita is not quite a draw as of yet. He's not considered New Japan yet. So I assume that he would have to be somebody full-time for.
Did you freeze? Sam may have frozen on me a little bit here. So just wait that out, unless I froze. Give that a minute. Did I lose you? Well, we'll give Sam a second here and see if she comes back in here. I'm not sure what's going on with the internets, but we will see. In the meantime, I am going to take this opportunity to plug my she clicked out. Cool. So I'm going to take this opportunity real quick to plug my little competition that Bob and I have a few more hours on. Some of you have been following this, but we have been part of America's Favorite Couple for the last little while. We made it into the wild card round. We only have a few hours till this evening for people to get voting for us. So if you feel like it and you have a Facebook and you want to go vote for us, we've been plastering it all over social media here on Power Bombshells. I've had it all over my social medias. It ends this evening at I think it's 10 p.m. Pacific. So if you feel like doing that, that would be awesome. And it does turn out that Sam's internet got. Oh,
yes,
back.
I tried it. Yeah, sorry about that. I was trying to. Of course, I tried to send you a message, and then it popped up that my internet dropped.
No, that's okay. I was telling everybody about my America's
Yes.
Favorite Couple contest, and I figured we were getting close anyway. So.
Yes. And then also, besides the contest, you also have something else you need to talk about.
Oh, that's right. So next Saturday and Sunday, the 17th and 18th of August, we are having the Motor City Wrestling Expo, and it's at the Sports Arena in New Baltimore. And I've been sharing a bunch of it to my Facebook, and we've been doing a lot of stuff, but we are going to be sponsoring it. So Bob and I, our health insurance agency that we're working for, Health Markets, is actually a sponsor for this one. So yeah, I get to go to wrestling for work. But we're hopefully going to meet up with some people. Spider, those of you who have watched the Journey, he's going to be featured pretty heavily on this show, and there's going to be a lot of meet and greets. There's going to be a lot of family events. It's going on for the 2 days, and Friday night there's actually a ring review award show.
Oh, nice.
So we're going to be at the same location, but they're doing a little spread for people if they bought a couple if they bought tickets to it. There's a local Fox anchor that's going to be hosting it here. That's one of the, so it's really special. The person who put it together, it's largely been project of Mission Smith, who has been one of the people that I know you guys have heard me talk about him, Houston Genius. Just a bunch of the CCW guys got together and really wanted to put something special together for the weekend. And so we're happy to be sponsoring it. A lot of our local pals down in Richmond are sponsoring it, but I'll double share that as well. It does, again, it's the 17th and 18th of August, and it's in New Baltimore, Michigan. It's Motor City Championship Wrestling Expo. So
that sounds like
come check us out. We'll have a tent. We'll have, if you are one of the people that is struggling with health insurance at the moment, our company works in all 50 states. So if you just want to ask me a question, there's no obligation. If you guys just need answered stuff, feel free. You can at me. You can, I usually, some of my stuff is message, but you guys know how to hit me up. You guys in the Discord, I totally appreciate you. All the voting, all the questions. It's really fun having the Discord people there. But if you guys want to check that out and come check us out, that's where we'll be next weekend. So, and I will still be here, obviously, but
that's really exciting. I'm glad that you guys are getting to sponsor that and be such a part of the community. And you get to, like you said, you get to watch wrestling for work, which is also very cool. And our plan today was originally we were going to try to get these fighters on the show, but obviously, unfortunately, WWE did the most WWE way this weekend. We had to deal with that, and that became the topic of conversation. And we really wanted to have BJ to come talk about that. So unfortunately, that happened. But if you are in the area, please go support Mel. like she said, you can contact her, message her if you have insurance questions. So definitely, because I know I will probably be doing that soon enough.
Well, I know, and especially like the Texans, I know that the Governor Abbott just kicked people summarily off of Medicaid because of being that. We are licensed in Texas, so that's for example.
So in any state.
So, and if it's somebody, if it's a state that we don't, it's pretty easy operating for the most part, depending. There's a few states that are a little trickier than others. Florida is by county. So, I mean, there's always little quirks, but we can always check it out. And at least maybe at the very least, I can answer questions for you if you have them, because it's going to get ugly.
I have family members who are trying to deny that it's going to get ugly, but when it happens to them, they'll be singing a different tune.
But we're getting emails like every single day about.
That's going to happen as it gets closer, because with the enrollment thing.
It's unfortunate that people equate Medicaid with poor people only. Mm-hmm. Medicaid pays about 90% of every dollar. Mm-hmm. Spent in many, many, many medical settings, not just it's. So, again, don't freak out. Somebody, and I'm not going to try and tell you. And I would rather you were asking me. I have been on the patient side of this for freaking ever. So now I'm in the club. As my friend joked with me this weekend, he was like, "Did they teach you the secret handshake?" I was like, "They did not." So I'm not that deep in yet. But,
maybe it is coming. Wormel will know the secret handshake.
But the point being is that you guys, like, if you just have questions, like, I can even point you in the right direction, because it's
this is going to be a huge resource for a lot of people.
Insurance agents are actually there to help you get answers about it. The consumer we are a guide. We are a navigator for
So come for the wrestling, stay for the health insurance.
And it's an incredibly complicated, convoluted system for no reason. And so again, just ask us about wrestling stuff, but also know that.
And listen, there's a lot of independent wrestlers out there who need health care.
That's exactly right. That's part of the reason we're going with our Ren Fair and our Ren Fair.
Yes, the Ren Fair people definitely. Yes, a lot of and freelance people.
1099 employees do not get their own health insurance. So, and you know what? Crazy enough, we've actually found a couple people better plans than their group health that the work offers. So
very good for them. Good.
We have conditioned society to believe that our group health insurance plan through our work is the best plan ever, but it isn't always.
It's not. Not always. Some people, yes.
And you could actually bring more money home in your paycheck that way.
That's always.
And if you lose that job, you don't lose all the stuff that you have because you have your own insurance. Just things to think about. Anyway, not going to do that too long.
So that has been Health Insurance Corner.
Health Insurance Minute with Mel.
Oh, yes, Health Insurance Corner. We're going to help Mel, which would be super helpful for lots of independent wrestlers.
And, if it's well for us and we get to be the couple, then we can take all the money we've invested into doing this.
Yes, and continue to vote if you've got a Facebook page.
Yeah, I don't really want to be doing insurance out of my car, because that would be weird. Because I don't do car insurance.
That would be very interesting. Where is your health insurance person? In her car, working from her office in the back seat.
My mobile operations.
Yes, right. Right, exactly.
Okay, you don't slag on my mobile operations.
I will not.
Okay.
I was like, I guess on that note, I think we covered everything.
I think so.
Thank you for being with us today. Thank you for BJ again for taking the time to come talk to us today, especially because he's been on like 49 other shows. But I think we asked first, but our show was later. So, but like Mel said, we got a lot of information in between about, because some people said some things, some wrestlers made some comments. And then the ESPN deal came, and we had to be like, oh, so that's why Brock Lesnar is.
It all makes sense.
All makes
in the
sense
grossest
now.
way possible.
We're here, hopefully, knock on wood, depending on what happens in the next week. I mean, maybe Brock is on TV next week, and we unfortunately will have to talk about it again. And then if he's not, then hopefully we have nice things to talk about. Maybe the biggest conversation we can have is whether Zack Sabre Jr. should have dream matches on his own time or not, and if that's the biggest issue we cover next week,
I would love for that to be our main topic.
If our biggest topic is should Hurt Syndicate drop the titles to whoever their opponent is at Forbidden Door.
There we go. I like this.
I will take those over anything that we had today. But thank you guys for being in the chat. Thank you for wanting to hear what we have to say. Thank you for reaching out and be like, I wish you did an emergency show, or I am looking forward. That cool. Means a lot to us. Thank you for that. And hopefully we'll have lighter topics to talk about. But, you know, as the wrestling business likes to do, sometimes it's unexpected. And we'll see what the coming week brings. And then we have, I think Forbidden Door is our last Sunday pay-per-view of the year. We moved back.
Is it on Sunday?
I believe so. Isn't it?
Oh, okay. I thought it was on Saturday.
I believe it. Oh, wait. Maybe I'm wrong. Hold on. I'll double check. It's the 24th. Yes, it is Sunday the 24th. So
awesome.
They kept pointing out 2 weeks from
okay, so
today.
It's still on Sunday. That's excellent.
And then after that, the pay-per-views will be back to Saturday. So your pre shows will be on Saturday. Mel will be seeing her Saturday fair or her Sunday Ren Fair friends after that. So so Sunday the 24th will be our last Sunday pre-show,
not our regular show.
We'll still be here. We'll still be
just the pre-shows.
Just the pre-shows. I'll make that very clear. We will still be doing Sundays at 1:00, but the pre-show will be off Sunday. And then, is it at 1 p.m. because of
the time change?
So we'll probably be here early.
We'll talk about it.
We'll talk about it. We'll let you know next week.
We at least have a weekend to discuss this.
Yeah, we've got
to prep Sam for being up early a little again.
Yeah, and I have to cover, when is Collision? Is Collision on? Yeah, we'll figure out when Collision's going to be too.
Pajamas edition of Power Bombshells pre-show. That was a lot of P's.
Bring your mimosas and your
PJPBS.
5 a.m. I might as well not even go to bed if we have a 5 a.m. show. It'd be like getting up.
Yeah, they're all laughing at us like, now you know how we feel, jerk.
No, I know. I understand. I get up and watch Wrestle Kingdom live. I understand. I get it.
True story.
But you guys get a show on at a regular time for you. So
nice.
Brad, thank you for pointing that out so that yes, there we go. Effie's Power Bombshell Brad. And, I still want my match with what was it? Why did I just blank? It was Juice Robinson versus it was Juice Robinson versus the Juice Juventud Guerrera. I still want my Juice versus Juice match.
There you go.
And a brunch seems like Effie's brunch seems like the best time to do
perfect place for it.
Yes. But thank you, Brad, for pointing that out. So we're not scrambling next week and like, what do you mean the pay-per-view is at 1:00 in the afternoon? What do you mean we're going up against the exact same show? So thank you for that, Brad. We have some time to prepare. This is why we need you people in the chat sometimes.
It's true. This is why there's
so much wrestling information out there that we forget things, and we need you to help us out. So we appreciate that. And on that note, we will be back at our regular time next Sunday at 1 p.m. And then we will let you know about the following Sunday what time we will be on.
Exactly. Have a good week.